or watching to the Black Eagles podcast, a Beşiktaş talk show.
Ahmet Dursun Sergen aldı. Sergen Bülent yan yana. Sergen Bülent. Sergen. Yanında Tümer var. Tümer'e doğru aksın kaybetti. Tümer topu aldı. Sergen aldı. Gol! Gol! Gol! Sergen attı. Sergen attı. Şampiyonluk geldi. Sergen attı. Şampiyonluk geldi.
İbrahim'in pası. Zuma. Şimdi Ahmet. İkinci gole gidiyor Beşiktaş. Ahmet. Ve gol!
Hello Black Eagles, welcome back to the 340th episode of the Black Eagles podcast. We are here live today on Monday the 5th of May to report to you about the Fenerbahçe Beşiktaş derby from yesterday. Beşiktaş came away with another derby victory, the third derby victory this season, and ironically, from the 55 points that Beşiktaş have collected in 32 matches, 9 of those points have come against Galatasaray, Fenerbahçe, and Galatasaray and Fenerbahçe, who collectively, between the two of them, have only lost 4 matches, and 4 of those matches came against Beşiktaş, and the 4th match came between Fenerbahçe and Galatasaray, from Galatasaray winning a match. So those two teams only been beaten by the Black Eagles this season. And we're here to rejoice and talk all about that. But before we get into the nitty and gritty of things, we had to make some changes with the unfortunate closure of Skype that forced us to use some different methods to bring in our camera feeds. So we are using something that we have used in the past. I am having some issues in my software right now. The audio feeds of the guys aren't coming in on my screen, but I did a test recording just before we went live, and their audio is showing up there. So if you don't hear Sinan and Kartal in the next 30 seconds when they're about to start speaking, let us know quickly in the live chat, please, so we can try and figure out what's going on. Anyway, let me start by introducing my two co-hosts that you will hopefully be hearing. Let's start with the man from New York City, Sinan Schwarding. The Knicks, I believe, aren't doing so well right now. I think they lost on the weekend, right? But you got it
wrong, sir.
Wrong. Oh, okay.
We made it through the first round. The Knicks are in a great position. We're playing with house money. We're playing the Celtics in the next round, which is where we're done for. We're completely toast. It's not like Beşiktaş
season, right?
It's not like Beşiktaş against Galatasaray, where it's like, well, you know, it's a huge rivalry, anything can happen. Like, the Celtics are a freaking juggernaut right now, and the Knicks are in like year one of like trying to figure things out with this team. So we have lots to look forward to, but not in the very near future. So right now it's all Beşiktaş basically for the next like month or so. I have a feeling.
Well, I
testing 1 2 3 moment. Can you all hear me? Did you all hear my little Knicks tirade?
So. I just asked in our WhatsApp community group chat as well. It looks.
If you heard me, I'm passing the mic over to Carter. How are you doing, sir?
Let's introduce the handsome man from Glasgow, Scotland, Kartal. How did you experience this derby? I know you were watching it with your dad. Was your brother with you as well? That's great.
Hello, amigo. How are you? Come to Beşiktaş.
Yeah.
Come to Beşiktaş.
Yeah, they can't hear Kartal apparently. This is something I was afraid of.
No.
Yeah, but they could hear Sinan though. That's odd. So
Yeah.
I mean, guys,
At
can you
least
just
one Celtics fan over there could, apparently. No, I
guys just
concur, Amir Khan.
You can confirm that you heard Sinan, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, I got a Celtics guy in the chat already, giving me the
Giving you grief.
work.
All
Give me
right.
the work.
Yeah, I think the issue has to be on my end, though, Kartal. Normally, you guys' audio shows up, and when we've used this in the past, when we've used Video Ninja in the past, it also shows up there. But for some reason, it's not right now.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I had to figure some stuff out with that too.
Okay. Well,
Yeah, all right.
Go ahead and
We'll
switch
see you in a
make sure
second then, Cartel. Yeah,
Make
see
sure
you in a
your
minute.
microphone is selected. In the meantime, I'll revert back to Sinan. Just Sinan, they confirmed in the chat that they can at least hear you, right?
Oh yeah. Okay.
Well, let's hope we can fix the audio issue on Cartel's end then. Very.
Yeah, I
frustrating
promise you,
it's-
folks, that what Cartel said was fascinating stuff. You really missed out on some legendary commentary, and
Yeah,
hopefully,
maybe just to summarize.
hopefully we get the replay on it.
For what Kartal was saying is he watched the game at home with his brother Özcan, who's also in the chat right now, who got off work early, I believe, to be able to watch the game together. So the three...
What a special.
Yeah. I was trying to strong arm Kartal yesterday to do a post Derby episode, like straight after. But yeah, he wasn't to be swayed, man. He wanted to have a fun evening with his family, the bastards. How dare he? So, oh, the show. Okay.
So, on the right side, I
he
guess.
is the eye candy of the show. That much is true.
Yeah, for sure. John Wolf asks if I watched the game. 200%. I watched it twice, so I think that counts. But so yes, I've watched all the games.
Hello, amigo. How are you? Come to Beşiktaş.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's get your thoughts on the game, and then we'll get into our
usual
if you wanna
spiel.
call it that in a little bit, while we try and sort out and getting Katal on here. We can hear you, Katal, but I'm going to have. Yeah, just a second.
Folks,
I'm gonna have to enter the. I'm gonna have to
Hear
enter the
Kartal.
speeds first before they can potentially, hopefully, hear him.
apparently my sound is on and off,
Huh.
which is
Sound is.
Chrome.
All right. So Kartal's feed should be live now. Kartal, can you do some talking? Let us know if you can hear him now. Of course, we also have to deal with the slight delay between us and YouTube on top of everything.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, because there's like about 20 seconds.
To the
Yeah,
greatness of
yeah.
this. We're gonna be losing a ton of viewers with all these
In this-
technical difficulties.
Yo, Murder Merritt's in the house. Emirhan Guven with a friendly little Celtics back-to-back champs. Sorry, Sinan. I can't even disagree. I mean, it's probably you or OKC. That would be a great series. Yusuf, most handsome podcaster for sure. We know who he's talking about. Then a bunch of sound issues. Lots of sound issues. I have sound supposedly, but then maybe not necessarily. John Wolf says he did not hear my answer. I thought he thought I was swearing at him. I was not swearing. No, I saw all the games. By which, if you mean the Knicks games, of course. I saw them all. And if you mean the Beşiktaş game, I saw it twice. I watched the match live and then the replay on BN USA. So I am fully versed in all games. I assume maybe you're talking about the basketball games, because obviously I've watched the Beşiktaş match, being a Beşiktaş podcaster. John Wolf, I guess Emirhan Guven says, have you seen new home jersey, guys? There's a leak. And then John Wolf, many clubs' jerseys have been leaked. John Wolf, I did not. Oh, sorry, I did that. And then Batuhan, we have a new guest. Batuhan Suer says, "Hey guys, what do you think, Ole? Should we continue with him next year?" John Wolf, Ole will stay. He's here to rebuild Beşiktaş and bring back the team spirit. And then John Wolf says, "I'm a she," which, I mean, you couldn't have made that less easy for us to tell. No, I'm joking. John Wolf is John Wolf. But yeah,
Hello, amigo. How are you? Come to Beşiktaş.
Kartal is the question. And we have the delay too, so it's gonna be like just sitting around waiting.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I linked something in our group chat, by the way, guys. Make sure that you have that enabled, the include audio option. Yeah, I mean, yeah.
uh-oh.
Yeah.
Well, that's a damn shame.
Yeah, I can hear Sinan fine. This really wait. Can you guys hear Katal now? Can you talk now, Katal?
It's always weird to hear your own voice.
It's mainly.
Carly just says Cartel still no sound, but he's a little delayed, and you've just now toggled the new one, right? So, heck, have it. Cartel. One thing I had to do when I logged in was change my default mic to whatever mic it is that I'm using, which is in the headset now.
Oh wait. I found it.
What is it? Your fault, the whole thing?
It's Khan's fault. Copyright Khan strikes again.
I fixed it. Oh, okay. It was my fault. No, the sources were hidden. I've unhidden them now, and Sinan wasn't.
I think we should start again, by the way, because that's been shit, man. I think we should start again.
The problem with that is then I have to do all the stuff.
No, we're good. We're good. We've already gotten through a bunch of the chat too, so that actually gives us a head start later on.
Let's get into the groove now. So
let's do it.
I want to start touching on the question from Batuhan. Can you just repeat that question from Batuhan quickly, Sinan? Because there's some stuff I want. I have a little bit of a. I don't know if it's a hot take, but I have a very strong opinion on Ole.
Batuhan said, "Hey guys, what do you think about?" I'm gonna do my little English teacher routine here. What do you guys think about Ole? Should we continue with him next year? Which I've already pretty.
So I'd love to hear everyone who's watching right now. I'd love to hear your opinions, whether or not Beşiktaş should continue with Ole. And now I'm gonna give you I actually did about an hour on this and some other stuff in our VIP podcast yesterday. I have a very strong opinion on this. I think the three of us, were all on the same page. We are fully 100% behind Ole. We have been since he arrived. Nothing has changed that. The recent poor results, we had a stretch of really poor results, really haven't made any difference in that either. Of course, we've had our criticism of some decisions that Ole has made. I think you will always have criticism of coaches' decisions because that's just the way armchair quarterbacking works, right? You always know better than the coach. And sometimes there's just things that you don't agree with because you want to see a certain player or you don't want to see a certain player. But at the end of the day, of course, we aren't privy to the daily training sessions and all that kind of stuff. And we don't know the details going into every single decision. But my point there is you're never really 100% going to agree with any coach. It doesn't mean you aren't going to be fully behind someone. And the reason I am fully behind Ole is because I think we need to be realistic. So right now, there's a massive financial gap between Fenerbahçe, Galatasaray, and us. That is very important. We're not even talking about the point gap right now or the quality and squad gap, just purely financially. So for us to close the gap with Fenerbahçe and Galatasaray, we need to do two things. We need to be smarter with how we spend our money, and we need to fight harder, work harder, and do everything better. That means that we need to create a team that fights every single match, that gives 100% every single match. So far, we haven't seen that. We've seen a team that is giving 100% in the big games. They're picking and choosing the matches they want to show up for. That's been a problem the entire season. But Ole is the first coach in years now, I can't remember how long, the first coach who really puts a super strong emphasis on how important it is for Beşiktaş to have a team that always fights for each other and will always go to the limit for each other. That is very important because that is the only way in the coming years, and whether it's in the next 1 year, 2 year, 3 or 4 year, how Beşiktaş are going to be successful. If Beşiktaş want it more, they need to want it more and they need to fight for it, not just in the big games but also in the small games. I don't believe that there's any Turkish coach out there that can institute that sort of mentality in the team. I don't really think there's a foreign coach you can bring in that's going to be able to instill that in the short term. Ole has been here now. He's going to have the advantage that he's going to have been here for 6 months. He's going to have seen all these players. He has also mentioned this in his post-match interview yesterday that it's fantastic performance yesterday against Fenerbahçe, but now what's important is the next 4 games, because after we beat Galatasaray, the next 4 games, the next month was shit. That's literally what Ole said. It was terrible. And now he is going to make his assessments based on the next 4 games. So whether or not players in the squad right now are going to be part of the future plans for Beşiktaş going forward, they have to earn their spots for next season in the next 4 matches. I think Ole with that is sending a very clear message that he doesn't want players picking and choosing their matches next season. He wants players to give it their all every game. And of course you can be fantastic every game. You can put a 10 of 10 performance in every match, but you can always give 100%. And I think what we saw yesterday from all the players was exactly that. We had players like Gabriel Paulista who only had like 1 or 2 training sessions this week, was essentially injured but sacrificing to play. We had Felix Uruguay coming on for nearly a full second half after having missed 2 months and only having 1 training session under the belt. The medical staff told him that he could only play 10 to 15 minutes. He played almost the entire second half. These players are showing the right mentality. They fought for each other, and that's why we won yesterday. And that's why we won the game against Galatasaray. That's why we won the game against Athletic Club. Now we just have to make sure that we can get this sort of mentality in every match. But I think Ole he understands this. He understands the fact that we are never going to be able to close the financial gap with Fenerbahçe and Galatasaray in the short term. Maybe not. Maybe we can never close it. But he understands very well the only way for Beşiktaş to be successful is if we want it more, if we fight harder, and if we work harder. And I think that is why he is the only guy right now to take Beşiktaş forward. Whether or not that will ultimately end with a championship, maybe 2 or 3 years down the line. And look, I'm not saying we can't have a unsuspected championship like 2021 was. That can always happen, but that very much depends on how our rivals perform, whether or not their recruitment is on point, which quite frankly it hasn't been. Galatasaray is still going off of a really good summer mercato 3 years ago, but their last 5 or so transfer windows have been pretty poor, other than Osimhen and Sanchez. Fenerbahçe's recruitment is very questionable. They over-recruit older players, which is good for us. So it is of course possible that we achieve success earlier than expected. That is possible, but I think we need to be realistic, and our plan needs to be on a title in 2 to 3 years time. And whether or not Ole is the one to win us that title, that remains to be seen. But I think at the very least, Ole needs to get 2 seasons or so he can start laying the foundation for success, just like Slaven Bilic did. And then we'll see if he is able to cap it off or not. But that is for later down the road. But for now, I think there is no better choice than Ole. And changing that right now is the dumbest thing we could be doing. Because hitting the reset button now is just... Yeah, I don't understand it. I don't see any logic behind that. Sorry for the rant, guys, but I wanted to get that out there.
Real quick, we've got... I'm going to read these in a specific order, so don't worry, I'm not skipping you. Carlito says, no question, he just started. Even if we do not become third, he showed great tactical ability. Imagine this skill with the right players. And of course, we're going to talk about that with our conversation about our match. I think you're absolutely right, especially, regarding Fener. Like, there can be some criticism about us playing conservatively, but again, folks have to remember where we're coming from, how poorly we were playing before he came in. For us to be even getting results against our rivals right now is fantastic. Khan 2.0 says, well, if we can sign Klopp, who am I to say no? But otherwise, Ole all the way. John Wolf, he also said, Ole also said that it's better when everyone is doing their best, a clear message to the team. Ozkan Zerzavaci, he's walked into an omni-shambles of a club with a positive attitude and aura and is getting big results. He needs time to build. Anyone that says otherwise doesn't understand football. And then finally, I'm going to go back. John Wolf, Beşiktaş should be scary to all teams in the league, not only in derbies. To chase the title, we need all the points we can get. I think rather than the coach, we need a fundamental change in the team. And that is, I think, basically where we are right now, right? Like the transfer window has become, in a funny way, like the most important part of the upcoming season, because either we fill in enough holes, right? Like the one time I was sort of shaking my hand like that, Khan, was when you said we might not compete for 2 or 3 years. To which I'd say, if you fill in, like, we're not going to fill in all the holes, right? Because the holes
wins,
currently are.
We
sure.
might compete,
No, I mean,
no,
you can't expect us to win.
Yeah.
Maybe, or you can't go into seasons like as a heavy favorite or anything like that for 2 or 3 years. But when you look at, we have we've sort of been over this. Like, there was around 7 holes in the starting squad that we need to fill, and then almost the entire bench. Well, no, okay, let's say another 7 guys on the bench rather than the entire bench. So 14 guys. There's no way we're going to do that this summer. No. Right? Yeah. So the question is, unlikely. And so can we fill in enough of these gaps that we can become competitive enough, but not just competitive enough, but also deep enough that when there's 1 or 2 injuries or some slight adversity or a guy has to, whatever drama comes up in a given season, that there's someone else to step into his boots and do a good enough job that we're not immediately in disarray, right? And so I would say that it's not impossible for us to get competitive enough, even in just one season, to where we could theoretically compete for a title at the very least, right? Again, I think you're right that we shouldn't expect to, but
I think it is possible that we compete next season. I think most importantly is that we don't tap out in November. I think it's very important for the fans' mental well-being, for the whole community's mental well-being, that we are competitive at least until the second half of the season. Of course, it helps if you have a good European campaign, if you qualify from the league stages. That's a great boost as well. Doing well in the cup. I think for next season, our goal should be, of course, at the very bare minimum, third place, and then hopefully sticking with the two horses until April or so. That should be March, April. That should be our goal. But I think a lot of it depends as well on how does this summer mercato go? What type of players can we bring in? But I think, if you take it, for example, Atletico Madrid, they have been competing for 15 years now with Real Madrid and with Barcelona. And yeah, of course, they're not winning 7-8 titles in 15 years. I think maybe they won 4 or something like that.
2. 2014 and 2021. They've only won twice.
So they won only twice. Well, regardless. But the thing is that I think that is a good example of what we need to be for now. We need to be a thorn in their side, but we need to be a thorn in... I think we were a thorn in their side this season, but we need to be a thorn in their side that isn't 20 points behind, but that's maybe, still racing towards the finish line with them. And like I said, the advantage we have that Atletico Madrid doesn't have is that Fenerbahçe and Galatasaray's recruitment isn't on point. That is our big advantage. And
we're doing things on the back end that they are yet to do in a serious way, right? Like some of the sort of professionalization they've done on the back end was inspired at the time, given where the whole country was in that regard. But it was also right, Comoli, like it was already kind of doing the kind of same big name thing, but just at that end. It seems like what we're doing is much more calculated, much more kind of.
Well, we'll have to wait and see.
We'll see,
bit, right?
yeah, we'll see
how it all comes together. But like the thing with both Fenerbahçe and Galatasaray is their recruitment isn't great. Right now, if you look at Galatasaray, like I said, they are still really plucking the fruits of their labor from 3 summers ago. They had a fantastic summer window, and they built a good squad with Icardi, with Mertes, Kerem Aktürkoğlu, who's already gone now, but Barış Alper Yılmaz. I think even Kerem and Barış Alper Yılmaz they bought like a season or 2 before that. Abdülkerim Bardakçı, Lucas Torreira. So a lot of those players are still forming the
it's still the same. It's the same core they've had for the last 3 years. That's one.
Exactly. Which to their credit, right? Like consistency does go a long way. It's something we've lacked 100%. In some ways.
That's the key. That's the key thing, though, that Cam's talking about here. Like the fact that they've actually built a good core 3 years ago and they've won back-to-back titles with it. They're three-peating. But if we can have a sustained period of good windows and good recruitment, there's no reason why we can't take them over in 2 years' time. Like, there's no reason why we can't win the league in 2 years' time. I think, realistically, I want to be ready in 3 windows. So this summer, January, and the summer after. I think by then we should be good to go. And hopefully we can think about winning a title again. And I think, what you said about targets for next season, if we can stay with the pack until March, April, I think that's great. And if we end third again. But I think, the thing about fighting and being scrappy and winning these games, that's great for these games. But I think our biggest problem just now is that we're struggling to dominate teams when we've got the ball and they're sitting back. That's probably the main thing we need to focus on improving over the summers, getting the right players in so that when teams defend in their own side of the park, we can open them up. We can
Where do you think that, Kartal, where do you think that problem lies? Is it a lack of creativity on the wings, in the midfield, like fullbacks,
It's probably a bit of all of it. Like, we don't have Mashaku's quite a good creative fullback. Obviously, Svensson's more defensive, which is fine. It's more balanced, but we really lack creativity on the wings altogether. And then
like elsewhere.
Apart from Rafa, we don't have any creativity down the middle either. Like Gedson Fernandes proved again yesterday that he's the ultimate player for these derbies, but against these other teams, he's not as effective. And I think we need to have an alternative for those types of games where we're pinned back. But I think the main problem just now is we don't have any creativity on the wings. I think we could really do with a striker that can hold up the ball and link up well as well. I think Immobile's link-up play is inconsistent. It's not always bad. In fact, at times this season we actually liked it.
It's been good, yeah, I was going to say.
Sometimes he has some brilliant passes, but
sometimes it's terrible. But the main thing is because he's not got that strength to hold up the ball and bring us up the pitch, if that makes sense. Like, see when you've got a strong striker that they can hold the ball with his back to the defender, that allows the whole team to come up the pitch. But just now we really like that because we don't have wingers that can see. Even if you don't have a striker that's like that, you can have maybe a winger that's like that, or maybe one of your midfielders is like that. But we don't have any players that can back off against the defender, hold the ball, and allow the team to come up. We don't have any players like that.
But Cathal, don't you think that's of course, there's so much we need to fix in the squad. Yeah. The squad, like
the wings, the creativity in the midfield as well. There's so many holes, but I think the wings is probably the place I'll start.
Yeah, but we've talked about this to death this season already, right? Yeah. Like all the things we're lacking in the squad, but that is all personnel issues in the sense of we don't have the right profiles of players and all that kind of stuff. But also, I think what you see in these matches against these smaller clubs, you're talking about, breaking them open and all that kind of stuff. But the biggest issue I've seen this season, I think, is that very often when we're playing these teams, like let's say 9-man Konyaspor, we lost to 9 players a couple of weeks ago. Or what is it, like maybe 1.5 months ago or something. That's just teams that want it way more. And I think that is also something, if you can get it into your team and in like that's across my dead body attitude, which they have shown in only really big games this season. But if they can show that also against the Gaziantep's and against the Konyaspors and against the Kasımpaşas of this world, that will take you a long way as well,
See, I don't get the feeling that this crop, though, that I don't think they're not trying. I think they actually do give it their all every game, but the squad's just not designed in a way where we can carve these teams open. So I wouldn't say it's so much an effort thing.
Dude, I honestly, for me, it's almost as simple as just a lack of talent in key positions, especially there are so many games where we just weren't creating chances, right? And we had the ball, we had all the build-up essentially till that final product was needed. And if it was Rashica who couldn't cross the ball, or Masuaku, or Rafa maybe being a little too selfish, or or Chiro kind of ghosting, or Semi, or Mustafa Hekimoğlu doing his all, but just not quite having maybe the talent to produce right now for us, right? Whatever the thing is, there's always a thing that seems to be at a gaping hole for us currently.
It's easy to defend against Beşiktaş. These smaller teams, they don't shy away from locking up their center and just focusing on neutralizing Rafa, and then you essentially neutralize us. Fenerbahçe, Galatasaray, Athletic Bilbao, Lyon. These are teams that go out from their own strength and they want to take it to us, so they don't
potentially
do that.
And we are potentially lethal on the counter with guys like Gedson and Rafa Silva, guys who can just
Rashica, please.
No, I Rafa Silva.
Someone was saying
guys
that
who can just
week.
Go from 0 to 100 super fast, right? That acceleration, that pace, the ability to just a defender thinks he's got you locked in place, and then you just make that decisive cut in a direction. It's wow, they're gone. And because we're on the counter, there's nobody else in front of them, and they have space, and they can just cause chaos. I honestly thought we should have had 3 goals on. Let's talk about this match, huh, guys? Speaking of which,
let's talk about this match. There was a couple of moments yesterday, Sinan, especially in the first half, where last week, I don't remember who it was, but somebody was talking about Rashica's ability on the counter. And I think yesterday in the first half, there were just a couple of prime examples why Rasicka isn't effective on the counter.
He ain't the one.
He slows stuff down way too much. There were a couple of moments yesterday where, and I'm going to credit Amir again here. Kartal has praised him last week as well. And I think
he was fantastic. He was terrible for 20 minutes yesterday, and then as soon as he settled into the match, he went from bad to very good.
I didn't even notice him being terrible for 20 minutes. Quite frankly, I think
what it was is he had some great interceptions, but his pass was a little off. He just seemed to not be quite locked in place. But I think that happens to a guy who's not been playing so much for so long. But he probably still needs to adapt. But he did. And I mean, I thought he might have been a man of the match candidate by the end of this one.
He had a couple of really good openings, Musrati-like openings to the wing. And usually it was to Rasicka, and then that's usually where it would stop because Rasicka would be unable to beat his man, make a wrong decision.
Amir actually played a very inefficient game yesterday. So his long balls, 3 out of 10 were successful. He only had 30% success.
But those 3 balls were great.
I mean, he was taking risks with those long balls on the one hand, so you got to give him credit. But I also think that in that stretch that I was talking about, I bet he a lot of the missed attempts were probably in that stretch because he really I don't know. At first, I thought he might not be up to this one, but like I said, man, there was a point where it looked like he flipped the switch.
He started bad, but he settled in later on. In terms of, he had 0 out of 3 successful dribbles, 12 passes into the final third. That's a good start. That's a very important start. That, but his duels were poor. 3 out of 11 ground duels won, 27%. Aerial duels, 1 out of 4, 25% won. In fact, he was the player that lost the most duels in the game.
How many recoveries did he have? Because that's something that I thought. Oh, he had a couple of decent
recoveries. 5. So that's quite a lot. That's a good start. Yeah.
No, and the thing about him is that I think I kind of gauged him properly finally in this match, where I don't know that you can really rely on him as your 6 because of you pointed some of his problems with dueling, and really the biggest problem is that he gets so excited about what's going on that he is really apt to leaving his position. You'll find him on the wing, on the left wing, the right wing. He's up front in the attack. He's all the way back on the back line sometimes. It's fantastic. Right, but it's fantastic in a sense, but you actually need at that 6, and this is what Kartal's alluded to a few times. You need some tactical discipline there to intercept key passes and things of that nature, and that's where maybe he's a great 8, but then we come into the problem where I think Gedson is that guy in a better team, we don't necessarily need Amir to be our 8.
I think Amir, he has been playing the last 3 matches or so, could make a really good player for an Anadolu team. I still think that he has really... I think that Ole will probably keep him around. But
that's been said.
Personally, he'd be one of the players I'd move on still. I do have to say I've come around a little bit on my opinion because I was very harsh for him a couple of weeks ago. I said that he doesn't even have a place as a squad depth player on this team, in my opinion. Not even if he had a Turkish passport. I've kind of come around on that. I think if he'd have a Turkish passport, he'd definitely be a good squad player at the moment, the way he's performing the last couple of matches. But given the fact that he holds a foreigner status, I would prefer if we find a suitor for him. But kudos to him for definitely stepping up a little bit in the last couple of matches, and it does show that there's still life beyond or a career beyond an ACL injury. Rather, he's not completely dead in the water. But
Con, here's a question for you. Carlito asks, would you guys have Amir over Musrati? Now there's an interesting question. I'm gonna get some water.
I think Musrati's better, personally.
Yeah, Musrati's better, of course.
Musrati's better,
but you can probably get a good fee for Musrati. Whereas for Amir, let's say you can get 7 or 8 million for Musrati. I don't think you can get half of that for Amir. I think you're lucky if you get a fee for Amir to begin with at this point. Maybe I'm mistaken, and maybe we can sell him for a couple of mil. But obviously, if you're looking purely at quality, I'd prefer Musrati, but I think if you look at
I see. I was gonna say, because of what we've done with this whole loan thing and
yeah.
the fact that we're probably not likely to sell him in the end, I would take that sale of Musrati and keeping Amir if we could, because I don't know if Musrati comes back, we're basically screwed, right? Like, I don't know.
The positive is he scored this weekend.
He did, but then he supposed to get injured afterwards.
But then he got injured apparently and had to get subbed off. So, and you know, I don't know. Maybe it was you, Katal, or I don't remember who said it, but somebody said, well, you know, a bench player for 8 or 9 million for Monaco, that's not out of the realm of possibility. Sorry?
Özcan said that 8 million for a bench player could be possible for them.
Yeah, and maybe I would have agreed with him like a year ago, but I think with the TV deal issues, you know, there was a massive issue in France this summer with the TV rights. They got a massively reduced deal than they had before with the TV rights, and that has plummeted a lot of French clubs into financial misery. And I think with that in mind, I think it might be difficult, but who knows?
Yeah.
There's still a little bit of hope, I guess. The fact that they're still using him, I think he wasn't even in the squad a couple of weeks ago, maybe for an injury or something. I'm not quite 100% sure on that, but at least the last.
He was starting at first, lost his spot, was coming in off the bench. It seemed to even have lost that role, but then he's sort of back now. So
you know, he got a red card right in the Champions League straight away.
Yeah, he did get a suspension.
Yeah, that was a bullshit call. That wasn't his fault.
It was, but that still impacts. You know, that's another thing I was talking about yesterday in our VIP podcast. Is football is such a funny thing. You know, seasons and matches get decided by details, little details. Like, for example, take yesterday's match. If Talisca puts his free kick a couple of inches more to the left, a couple of inches up, if Dzeko manages to swing his neck a little bit harder and put that header towards one of the corners, if somebody doesn't shine a laser in your eyes, these little things can make the difference between a goal or not a goal. And winning a match, especially, you know, a derby like this, can make this difference between championship or third place. And also that goes for individuals, I think, for players, for recruitment. I was giving the example of Federico Higuain, and the older viewers of this channel will remember him. He was I believe the older or younger brother. He was Gonzalo Higuain's brother, and he played for Beşiktaş very briefly. And there was a derby at Kadıköy that we lost 2-1, and Federico Higuain scored an equalizer in added time. Goal was disallowed for a phantom fall. And of course, back then there was no VAR, so referees could just disallow goals if they wanted to. If they imagined a foul, they could just disallow it. It was a 93rd minute header that would have got us a point in Kadıköy. And I think that is a very important moment in that guy's Beşiktaş career. If he scores that goal, it flips the opinion on him straight away. From being a flop to, oh, this guy's got something. And that can then launch him and propel him for a good run of form. And then he would be remembered today maybe very differently. I'm not saying he would be a Beşiktaş legend, but maybe people would be remembering him more fondly. Not as a flop. Right now, people that remember him probably think of him as a massive flop. And that is why, you know, in football, it's so important. And it's not just in football matches. It's not just seasons that get decided by little things like that. It's also player careers. Look at Michy Batshuayi. At Beşiktaş,
we always said that. Yeah.
We all think of him as a flop, right? The guy hit the post 9 times or something. Imagine instead of 9 times, he only hits the post 3 times. He scores 6 more goals. Then suddenly you go from somebody who scored 14 goals to 20 goals. And I think we remember him all very differently. I think at Fenerbahçe, if it wasn't for the way he snaked them at the end and went to Galatasaray, they all really like Michy Batshuayi. He was a super sub.
Yeah.
Right? Galatasaray, this season, I would go on a limb. I know their fans aren't super fond of Michy Batshuayi, but in the first half of the season, he scored about 5 goals, and I think all of those goals were, not all of them, but the majority of those goals were very, very important late goals. And they've been coasting to the championship the second half of the season. They've been just, bulldozing everyone, except for Beşiktaş, of course. But in the first half of the season, they struggled. And Michy Batshuayi was often there to save their asses. And I genuinely think if they didn't get Michy Batshuayi in the summer, I don't think they would be celebrating the championship right now. Because he got them a couple of really, really important wins early on. And that got them a massive momentum boost. So, just to put that in a way, for us, I think Michy Batshuayi, we see him as a flop. But if he doesn't hit the post 9 times, I think we would look very, very differently at him. And that's just football. It's funny that way. Like it's all decided. Somebody's status can be decided by whether they hit the bar or not. Remember when Dembaba hit the bar against Arsenal? If that ball goes in, we probably go to the Champions League group stages. Details. And Dembaba is remembered fondly now, but if he scores that, his status would be elevated even more. Right?
Yeah, definitely.
Another rant, sorry.
I'm thinking of. Anyway, yeah, let's talk about this game. Do you want to put the lineups up, Con?
Let's have a look at the lineups. And we have to do it this way because for some reason BN Sports did not share a fancy graphic this time, so we're gonna have to do it this way. So
Can you see the NDA?
Are you doing FOTMOB?
No, it's impossible to share it, unfortunately. No, I'm showing the.
Yeah, I'm going off FOTMOB here.
Yeah, I'm showing the Fenerbahçe official graphic they shared, and then I'm gonna show the graphic we shared. So it's up right now. Do you want me to go over it, Sinan?
I can do it. I got it.
All right.
So in their goal, 26-year-old Turk. He's already 26, is he? Irfan Can Egribayat, who of course we've all seen. Although, what's the deal with what's his name, Livakovic? Is he gone?
He's a substitute now. He's
wow.
Not a goalie.
He was injured for quite a while, and Irfan Can did quite well. So I think Mourinho just really likes Irfan Can.
Wow. I mean, he wasn't bad. I'll grant him. He had a couple moments.
Exactly. He definitely wasn't bad.
Anyway, on their back line, of course, 30-year-old Slovakian Milan Skrinniar, who had about 3 yellow cards in this match. 28-year-old Turk Çaylar Soyuncu. Everyone knows that dude. He's there permanently now, isn't he?
Yeah.
They bought him for 10 million.
Jeez. Not a great player these days, was he? I wasn't especially impressed with him yesterday. I felt like, you guys remember that jostling he did with Mustafa Hekimoğlu? That was unfortunate because Mustafa seemed very lacking in pace. You guys know the one I'm talking about where they were like doing that little arm thing with each other? Anyway,
Not really.
do you remember? You don't remember that?
No.
Cartel, do you remember that? There was this like jostling.
I can't say I remember for sure, man. So
It was towards the left. Whatever, it doesn't matter. There was something going on the left side of the penalty box. Mustafa went down a little weakly. At the end of the day, I thought he was slow. He had a lane, and he let Çaylar catch up to him. Anyway, 27-year-old Nigerian right back, Bright Osai Samuel, played opposite the best passer in the game for our team, Mert Mulder, 26-year-old Turk.
Yeah.
In their midfield, of course, Fred, 32-year-old Brazilian, who had a nice long chat with Ole. I don't know if you guys noticed that at the end of the game.
Old friends from Manchester United.
Yeah.
Fred and McTominay were some of the go-to players for Ole, and actually he talked about both of them in his interview this week with the BBC.
Cartel, I know you don't want players older than 30, but would you take Fred?
no.
Whoa, okay.
Last
That's a hot
season's
take.
Fred, yes. This season's Fred, no.
Okay.
So, no.
Next to Fred, Ismail Yüksek, 26-year-old Turk, and of course, in front of both of them,
He
a
should
very
have had
familiar
about
face.
3 yellow cards as well.
Yeah, he was a nasty little bugger. 31-year-old Brazilian Anderson Talisca, and then of course on the wings, 24-year-old Turk Oğuz Aydin, and opposite him Sebastian Szymanski, who's only 25. I was surprised to find out. And of course, 27-year-old Moroccan striker Youssef N-Nesyri, who I was supremely unimpressed by
Get
yesterday.
out of my swamp, donkey!
That weird touch he took where they tried to claim it was a penalty, where clearly Mert got to it first, and then he just flailed around like a maniac for about 5
after that, man, I just thought, man, this Mourinho is fucking shameless, man. Like, how can you more on TV?
I can understand that from the bench you think that's a
after the game he said it as well. Can surely would have
he
watched
did
it.
say it after the game as well. I understand, but I think at the moment after from the bench you're gonna want a penalty there. Of course, after
all
the
of their
game,
shouts were trash, man. The one on Amir where it didn't even hit his hand in the end, they're all like, "Oh, handball!" They were clutching at straws by the end of this one.
The thing with this one, and I talked about this. I did a Patreon video where I went over the highlights of the game as well. And the only thing where there's a little problem with this situation. Normally speaking, you would say, okay, this is never a penalty because Mert clearly gets to the ball first. The collision afterwards is unavoidable. The only problem with it is Mert lifts his leg. And that gives you kind of a little argument. If you watch the replay, you see him lifting his leg and
You mean like after the contact with the ball?
After the contact with the ball, but he doesn't have to lift his leg. And that is where you can argue, okay, maybe there's something there. I still don't think it's a penalty, but that you are essentially almost giving them an excuse to look at it. And that's I thought it was very dumb by Mert. I don't think he should have lifted his legs. Maybe it wasn't on purpose. Maybe it's just in the movement. But
I didn't notice it. I'll be honest, I didn't notice it.
Yeah. But of course, that's not a penalty. Let's have a look at our lineup.
Let's switch gears, to the victors over here for a minute.
I just want to say about N-Nesyri, told you so, motherfuckers.
I thought we didn't do that
yes,
here.
I am gonna be that guy when it's about the rival players. I don't mind being that guy. But I told you at the beginning of the season, that's not a 20 million striker. That's not somebody that's gonna win you a championship. Doesn't mean you can't win a championship with someone like him, but he's not gonna carry you to a championship like Mario Gomez or Icardi or Osimhen. That's just not him. And then he's not worth 20 million for a Turkish club, in my opinion, because that's a record transfer fee. Come on. Anyway, I've got the Beşiktaş.
You got it up good. All right. So on our end, in goal, 36-year-old Turk Mert Günok. On the back line, 31-year-old Congolese Antonio Rudiger. No, it was Arthur Masuaku. Who everyone just like maybe the best central defensive performance of the season. No, I mean I'm exaggerating, but he did play quite well, I have to say.
He had a very solid game.
And next to him, 34-year-old.
He deserves massive props for that, Sinan, because I think if in these this sort of circumstances, you're asked to play a position that you probably have only played a handful of times in your entire professional career, and you put in a solid performance against two of the most aerially dangerous forwards in the league with Talisca and Nesyri, and essentially only give them one chance. I mean, there was a second one where Talisca almost got on the end of it, but didn't. And even
that was, I think, just like slightly outside of the box, right? So
that was before that was like really early on in the game. There was like one that was a cross from the left. And
the header.
Yeah, but Talisca didn't get to it. But if he actually gets to it, and it's like of like 5 or 10 centimeters. I think if he manages to connect with that, it's a goal. But obviously he didn't. And then there's of course a really good header that he had. The good header that he had, and Mert had a good save on it. But other than that, we gave very little to a team that is very strong in the air. In the first
It's funny.
half.
I was thinking his discipline in staying back, Masuaku, was impressive, and I thought maybe if you trick him and tell him he's playing like left center back when you have him as a left back, like maybe he won't like hurt you so much defensively.
Ironically,
I don't know.
ironically,
I'm
it's Masuaku who actually wins the ball, dribbles up the park a little bit, and then
Yeah,
puts
he had a
cross
great little
pass.
run. Yeah.
No, it's him. It's his cross pass that leads to Mert Mulder heading it into
Yeah.
the trajectory.
He had the hockey
of
assist.
Gedson for the goal. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. He was great. Next to him, 34-year-old Brazilian Gabriel Paulista, who building, every game when he first came back from his injury, he was like a little dodgy, and the next game he was slightly better. It feels like he's just built incrementally since returning from injury to the point where like this week he was back to his like peak. He's played about as well as he's played for us all year.
Yeah, it was a very solid performance for sure by Gabriel Paulista. And I mean, also needs to be noted that he was injured after the last game.
He was a question mark, right, to play.
Right, and he only attended like 1 or 2 training sessions this week, so like he was touch and go kind of, and given his
and
injury
before
history, he sacrificed a lot by playing this game.
For sure. No, and before I even move on to our fullbacks, I feel like I have to mention that Felix Udokai came in as a sub for one of our fullbacks, and we slid Masuaku out wide. And Udokai was fantastic. And every fear I had about him being trepidatious because he's coming back from an injury, like if anything, it ended up being the opposite. I was afraid he was going to get injured again because he was going in so hard. He was getting kicked, and because like I think actually frustrating Fener and their attackers that by the end of this match, like Mert Mulder came in late in the game with a disgusting tackle, and it was like he got the ball first, but then the follow through, he just fully kicked Udokai in the ankle, and I was like, Jesus, I don't know if he's going to be able to play next week at this pace, but he was fantastic.
I wouldn't risk him playing next week, quite frankly.
Maybe not.
Hopefully, Emirhan will be back for next game. I think you need to. Felix played in this match because there really wasn't another option, and
And Emrecan got injured. It's worth noting. That's why he came on.
Ole also mentioned that as soon as Jaco came on, he really wanted to put Felix on because he knew they'd be, spamming crosses, and that's essentially what they did, and credit as well
perfect sub by Ole.
Yeah, but credit to Beşiktaş as well and to the team because we limited.
Yeah, that's been a weakness of ours.
Play. The only thing Fener could do in this game was cross the ball and pray. Cross and inshallah. That's essentially what they did almost the entire match.
Yep.
And shoot from distance. Distance.
That's quite right. I mean, they had a few dangerous shots from distance with Talisca. Talisca obviously had a great free kick that was saved from Mert. But other than that, it was 2 headed opportunities, one for Talisca, one for Dzeko, and then you had one opportunity for Tadic as well, which was a good chance. They only had one chance from open play that wasn't a header, and that was the one for Tadic. So overall, the defence played really well. I think all the defenders were brilliant, apart from Emrecan Tazi. I didn't like Emrecan Tazi at all, man. I think he gets beat far too easily. We saw there's a couple of times where he's just getting easily beaten on the dribble, just in quite similar fashion to the way he did last week for the goal we conceded. I thought Masuaku was really good. Paulista was very good. Svensson was decent as well. And then Udokai came on, and I want to just make a special note for Udokai. Like, fuck the haters, man.
Yeah, man.
This guy, all season, I think, has been our best centre-back. He's been, after Rafa, I'd say he was the best signing last summer. The only issue has been he's been injured twice now, but before that first injury, it was amazing. He came back. He had a few games where he looked maybe a wee bit shaky, and then Ollie came in, and then he was back to his best, playing phenomenal. And when people are writing these 11s or not for next season, they're not putting him in it. For some reason, he gets all this hate. But see, before he got injured, we were the team that conceded the least goals in the league.
Yeah.
And see, during his time out, we dropped to third in that list. So that shows you that the team is a much better defensive unit when he's on the pitch. And I just want to read through some of these stats, guys, while we're talking about Udokai.
Please go ahead.
So
Great.
Udokai came on in the 62nd minute, right? And by the way, it was the medical staff said he could only play 15, but all he said
10 to
had to bring
15.
came on. Yep. So 15 went up to over half an hour. So that's brilliant.
Almost 40 minutes because we played 9 minutes of stoppage time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which was absurd, by the way. There was no reason for
that.
that.
Yeah,
So-
they gave 8 minutes. I have no clue whatsoever why they gave 8 minutes.
So
I mean, I know why, but
just need to bear in mind, in just under 40 minutes, Udokai won 4 out of 5 of his aerial duels, 2 out of 2 of his ground duels. Had 9 clearances, 8 heading clearances, 1 block. But basically, he's played a perfect game. Perfect game, apart from he's lost 1 aerial duel.
That's fantastic, man.
Played a perfect game.
I don't even quite know what aerial duel that was because the Jaco header
Must have been inconsequential,
was a
yeah.
foul,
Maybe
I
one of those from the keeper.
Yeah,
type
that was a
thing.
foul. The Dzeko one that was actually a chance was the ones after that, which we had a bit of a let off. So there was 2 Dzeko headers. There was one where he pushed Udokai, but there was a second one later on, but Udokai wasn't in that position. So it wasn't.
Actually, he pulled Udokai, right? He pulled him back. That was nasty.
He pushed him.
Well, the one that he forced Mert to save, he beats Udokai to the ball.
Yeah, but I think that was a foul. But there was a second one
it's
that he hit
possible.
over the bar.
There was a header that went wide. Yeah.
I think that was a bigger chance because he was actually pretty free on that. The one on Udokai
That was
was
on a corner, I think.
It may have been. I can't remember at this point, but there was one where he got a bit of a together right near the end in the 89th minute or something. But no, Udokai was fucking brilliant.
Yeah. And you know what the worst thing is, Kartal, is that people don't start criticizing until he's out, so he can't defend himself. Because he defend himself. I think he lets his feet do the talking on the pitch because I feel like he's brilliant almost every single match, especially in those big matches. Like every big match this season.
Yeah.
Lyon is the one that stands out. He was.
I think the Galatasaray one is the only one he missed, right? I think that's the only match he missed. But other than that, every big result this season was Udokai Emirhan for the most part. And Udokai was always the stalwart at the back, like you said. And I think Emirhan has been a fantastic signing as well. But you can tell with Emirhan, there's still some big working points. There's nothing wrong with that, of course. Emirhan's 24 years old. That's still very young for a central defender. Yeah. Udokai is a little bit older. He's 27, I believe. He has years of experience in the Bundesliga. But Udokai makes very few mistakes. Very rarely makes a mistake. I think, the only thing you can criticize him for is if he gets beat on a header, which happens rarely, but it happens, I can't remember a big blunder from Udokai this season. Was there? I think there was one where he gave away a goal with a header or something.
And it wasn't even like a big blunder. I think I remember the one you're talking about. But we had to kind of figure out that it was him that was responsible.
Yeah, I only vaguely remember it. But by and large, almost every game he puts in a 7 or 8 performance. And after the first time he got injured, that was right around the time I think where the whole Samet Aybaba stuff started, and then Samet Aybaba started talking shit about Udokai. We paid too much for him and blah and blah and blah. And then all these trolls came out of the woodwork when he was injured, mind you, starting talking shit about him and acting like he shouldn't be in the team next season. And then he came back. He was shaky for 2 games, but then he started just playing really well again. And then nobody was talking because he was great. And then he got injured again. And then suddenly you started hearing these negative Nancy's again. And I honestly question these people online if they're actual Beşiktaş fans, because I think if you are a real Beşiktaş fan and you're watching every game, you cannot be Udokai is one of the last people you should be criticizing. He's one of the if you make a list of players you want in the team for next season, he should be top of that list together with Rafa, together with Emirhan.
For sure.
Yeah,
he's like a revelation this year. Yeah, no, it's.
Well, I think we paid $5.5 million for him. That's a lot of money. But he's 27 years old. I think that's
he could be at the back of our defense for 5 years and be among the best defenders in the league. No, I think it's ridiculous.
With injuries, of course, but I think I said this last week. I think Udokai, if he stays relatively injury free and isn't constantly gonna go into one injury to the other, I think he's gonna be remembered as Thomas Sivok in a couple of years, because Sivok in his first years was very, very stable, and then in his last
And
year,
hopefully he has a better
he
team
gets
around
super
him than
injury
Sivok
prone.
did.
But yeah. I
Right?
think Uruguay can be remembered very fondly a couple of years down the road, but
Yeah,
I
I
don't
hear
know
that.
why people are so unfair on him online. It's
Yeah, it's weird. Like
appalling.
I think, well, if Udokai's fit, Udokai's our best centre back. He's better
Yes.
than Paulista. He's better than Emirahan. He's the best out of all of them.
Yeah, 100% agree. And I would argue that he is a better defender than Davinson Sanchez, but Davinson Sanchez is better with his feet. So I think overall
that's fair.
Sanchez is the better player, but I think pure defending, I take
Yeah, like
Udokai
defensive
over Sanchez,
instinct,
I think.
pugnacious, tenacity. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
and then Skrinniar is the only other defender.
Yeah,
in the
he's in
league,
there.
I
He's
think
in there.
that's
Although he's a
that-
dirty bastard, freaking
Yeah.
asshole.
I mean,
Okay.
let's talk about that as well. But let's get
Let's get through this
the
lineup first.
Yeah.
So we've got Jonas Svensson on the right side, who I think we'll all agree had a pretty good game.
You know, the guys remember when like, Jonas like nutmegged a guy and then he got, I was like that. Oh, that Svensson shot up the heels, but then he done like a shit cross after it.
Yeah, just followed it up with a bad pass. Yeah, that's how it goes. And then opposite him, we might have a bit of a chat. Serkan Emrecan Terzi.
I thought he was.
So Kartal, you've already said he was bad.
Yeah, I
Well,
didn't like him.
outright. What did you think, Karen?
I didn't really notice him all that much, man. I don't know. It didn't-
Just those twice, man, that you get beat on the dribble that sticks out to me from what I can remember.
Yeah.
And it reminded me of last week.
But
So
who
obviously,
did he get-
it wasn't
who
costly.
beat him though? Who was the guy that beat him?
I can't even remember, man.
Uh,
But it was just that it was like a similar. One of them, I'm sure at least one of them as well was like a similar move where it was just like a quick change of pace and he was left for dead and just too easy. Like
Also,
most-
keep in mind though, this guy has been out injured for 6 months. He's only just played his first game last week, coming back from a really long injury, and this is his second match. So you gotta give him a little bit of leeway, I feel. You know.
yeah.
You know, I mean, I think we all.
I mean,
saw
I don't know,
last
but
season
if
that he isn't-
Kartal, look, I'm actually sort of in the con department of like I didn't really see enough to be critical, but in part I felt like I didn't really pay much attention to him. And I will say that it wasn't just Kartal saying this. I think Ural was kind of critical of him a few times during the match. A couple of people noticed sort of carelessness or something. So like I don't know. I'm willing to see what he can offer. My hope for him is that he proves to be good enough to be a backup for us, because that's what we really need, right? We kind of need depth at that position, and then the question mark becomes re-signing Masuaku or replacing him, or I mean, does he want to re-sign even? Right? I mean, there's all sorts of questions around him. But
I mean, you know, I think last season we saw as well from Emre Can. We saw more from Emre Can last season. And I think we all kind of agreed that this isn't a particularly exciting talent or anything like that. But at the end of the day, you need local players, you need Turkish players, you need academy players. So why pay stupid money, 2 million euros for Atakan Kerem Sezgin or Serkan, what was his name? Bunyamin Balci or something. Why pay 1 to 2 million euros for another shit Turk if we have one from our own academy that can be serviceable? And I think if the rest of the team is solid and you put him as number 11, if you can't beat Gaziantepspor because you have to play with Emre Can on the left back in a pinch, then you have bigger problems, I think. You know what I mean? So I do think that he is somebody that could have a place in the squad. When I watched him last season, he never stood out to me like Umut Meraş or like Onur Bulut in a negative way. So I think he is somebody that we can keep around for depth, at least for a couple of years. But yesterday he didn't really jump out to me. But let us know in the comments if you thought if he jumped out to you and you thought he wasn't particularly good.
Moving on to our midfield, of course, there was the sort of nondescript, but I thought fairly efficient Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. I mean, that's sort of his MO lately, right? Like, you don't really notice him much, but that can be a good thing.
And played
he
the
did
full 98
passes.
minutes.
Yeah, and he had some good passes connecting the defense and the midfield. Like he wasn't fully a ghost in that sense. I mean, I think he had a good nondescript game.
And
Would you?
he showed some attitudes from time to time. He wasn't shying away from duels, and I think he was it wasn't a game where he stood out particularly, but I think he played a decent match. I don't know how you felt about his performance, Cathal. You're usually pretty full of praise.
No, he was okay, man. Like he had like 4 out of 4 like, accurate long balls, which is very impressive. But other than that, he only actually had like 25 pass attempts in the whole game. 21 which were successful, which is decent. But I feel like maybe one of your 2 number 8 should be probably getting more of the ball and like being able to pass him more. But 4 out of 4,
not mobile enough, is he? Is that what it is? Maybe
4 out of 4 accurate. I mean, he's kind of more of a like he's a guy that's known more for his dribbling ability than his passing, and I felt like we saw a lot more of that last year. We've not seen much of that dribbling this season.
He's playing in a different role now, right? Like he's
very different. Yeah,
I suppose, but you need to remember in this game, guys, like generally he's been playing more of a 6, but in this game, Amir was the 6 as well. So like he did have that freedom to kind of venture forward more. There was one time he did actually beat his man, but then they filled him after it. But overall, it was like it wasn't anything special from him. It was okay. But nothing really special.
Didn't really stand out, right? That's what we could say. But that's not always bad. I mean, at least like sometimes when you stand out, it's because you just like shitty. So at least there wasn't that.
Maybe the only offensive player that did stand out was Gedson Fernandes in this game. That's what I thought anyway.
Yeah, I mean, Rafa Silva could have had a few moments. I feel like we had some great counters that were killed out because of just poor decision making by individuals. Anyway, moving on to the rest of the midfield, we had Amir Hadziometovich next to Ox. I think we all kind of agreed he had a good game. We've already kind of talked about him for a pretty long stretch, so maybe we let that go. But so then, oddly, Gedson Fernandes is the guy who's at the head of our midfield. And as Kartal's already, like, Kartal, would you call him your man of the match even? Would you go that far?
Second. In fact, maybe not even, because I feel like the defence probably was more important in this game. But
so you've got Mert as your man of the match.
Mert's the man of the match for me, 100%. But I'd say offensively, the best player was Gedson Fernandes for us.
That's fair. That's definitely fair. Con, what do you think? Oops, maybe he's getting a refill over there. I guess let's move on. Yeah, I mean, for me, Gedson is. I think you're right. You've got to put a defender. Maybe it'd be Masuaku because he was out of position and performed so well, as your second, and then maybe Gedson as your third. I mean, maybe Gedson for me is second because he missed the penalty, but granted, he had light lasers in his eyes, and then he came back and got the goal back. So.
I
sort of heroic tendencies from him.
Yeah. I think Gedson played a fantastic game, quite honestly. I think he was definitely our best defensive player. Yeah.
Is he your man of the match, Con?
No, he agreed with me, so Mert would be his man of the match.
I don't know if I agree with that because, like I pointed out in my highlights thing, I don't think Mert did anything special. The free kick was a good save. I think the 3 other saves are pretty standard, and you'd come to expect that from a goalkeeper from Beşiktaş. The free kick wasn't a perfect free kick by any stretch of the imagination, but he gets it over the wall. Right? It's short, it dips quickly, it's tough. So that's a good save. I'll give him that. I think the one on the Talisca header was decent too because he actually does have.
He got way too much power on the header than should have been humanly possible. I need a physics professor to explain that.
He has to make a decent dive there. It's still relatively close to his body, so it's not super difficult. But I mean, I'm talking, of course.
I think you're right that he might have made a slight kneel out of it. Like maybe he was a step out of position even and had to compensate.
No, I think he was pretty. I think his positioning. Actually, I think it's because of his positioning that he saves it quite comfortably. And then I think the Dzeko header and the Tadic attempt, both of those are straight at him. So if he lets either of those in, he shouldn't be Beşiktaş's goalkeeper. At the end of the day, you know, he makes 4 good saves, but 3 of those 4 saves, I think Beşiktaş's goalkeeper should make. The free kick, I don't think if that goes in, I don't think anyone is shitting on him. But with the other 3 things, I think if those go in, I think people would be talking smack about him, and rightfully so. So to give him the man of the match, I don't know. I think Gabriel Polisa did a fantastic job organizing the defense. Udukai, when he came on, was great, but to give him the man of the match for 40 minutes is a little bit much. Yeah, it's a tough one for me to really pick a man of the match here.
You know, I always struggle. Because I'm always the guy that's like, it's not just one reason. There's a bunch of reasons. And you know, I mean, I guess in honor of May the 4th, although it's May the 5th, you know, only a Sith deals in absolutes, right? I feel like you could really give man of the match to 3 or 4 guys. Like even picking the best defender, right? Could be Masuaku. You could probably make an argument for Felix, although I don't think he'd be named man of the match because he only played in a relief stint.
Yeah.
But
do you have Getson's stats at your disposal by any chance? Because I'd love to hear those.
Yeah,
I think any one of those 3, Mert, Masuaku / Gabriel Paulista / Felix, or Gedson could be named man of the
by the
match.
way, I don't think Rafa was bad at all, but I think they
I think he had some moments like if one of those counters had come off where he did the right thing, then we'd be talking about how he at least had a great contribution to goal.
There was one position in the game. I think it might have been around the 18th minute. I'm not entirely sure. I'm just pulling that number out of my mind. I'm not.
I think 100%. That was the Rasisha penalty situation, right, where he should have gone down.
No, there's a position where Jetson's coming down the wing, and then see if that was say like someone like Amario Gomez, like Jetson's going to puts the ball across, but see Rafa, instead of like anticipating what's going to happen, he just keeps running down like running deeper and deeper inside the box. But see if he maybe like ran forward and then like peeled back, and then the ball could have came out to him. Just small things like that. See if you think about these things, like that could have been a great opportunity if he maybe like had the idea to do that. Like see someone like Mario Gomez, like, he was brilliant at that. Like,
but that's a weird comparison, though, right? You're comparing
but it's
a golden boot striker to a
guy out of position, sort of. Well, look, guys, let's quickly wrap up our lineup talk because I think now we're getting into tactics and analysis.
Well, I'd like to hear Getson's stats from Kaká.
It's football IQ though. Like, see, just to have that, like, to be able to think, see if I like kind of pull back here, it could be a lot more dangerous.
But I don't think you can really criticize Rafa's football IQ because the runs,
by the way,
are consistently makes
generally the right one.
Are a testament of his football IQ because he sees pockets of space that other players just don't.
So look, let's quickly wrap up.
Of course. Well, I want to
let's wrap up.
I want to hear the stats first from Gedson, since it's still topical.
So Gedson, I believe it or not, had the least touches of any midfield player. He only touched the ball. Obviously, chances created 0, missed penalty 1, total shots 2, shot accuracy 2 out of 2 because obviously the penalty was saved. Expected goals 1.15, big chances missed 1, the penalty. As we said, only 25 touches. 3 of them became in the opposition's box. 0 for 1 accurate crosses, accurate long balls, 1 for 1. He didn't lose the ball at all. He had 2 tackles, 1 clearance, 1 interception, 5 recoveries, 6 out of 11 of his ground duels, and was fouled 3 times and committed 5 fouls. But yeah, he only had in the whole game he only had 11 passes, which is crazy. Yeah. But if you looked at the heat map, you'd probably see that he probably ran more than anyone else.
He was all over the place.
You were talking about earlier about how Amir was the 6 in this game. I kind of feel like both Ox and Amir were playing as the 6, and that Gedson was really given a free role to roam wherever he wanted in this match. But let's.
I think
let's
he was
finish the
supposed to
lineup
be a
analysis,
counter-attacking threat of sorts, right? Which is, he was.
and which he
He was very
pressing.
effectively, right?
He was
Yeah.
pressing, and I mean, the goal is a result of the pressing that he did.
And that card that should have probably been a red card, remember, where he was on the right
100%.
side and
That's a good
behind.
chance. See if Skrinniar doesn't foul Gedson there, that's going to end up in a position if Gedson doesn't.
That was a nasty tackle, also, man. That was a nasty tackle.
He's of course 100% right to make a challenge and to make the professional foul. But if you look at the challenge and how reckless it was, to me that is 100% a red card.
At the very least, orange and deserves a better look. I don't know how they don't
It's
even.
a red. There's no discussion about it for me. That's a red card. He is taking
I mean, for me, it's a red card for sure.
crazy risks to injure the player. That's a dangerous tackle from behind. There's significant chance of injury. Could have finished Gedson's game, if not the season. For me, that's a 100% red card. Did you guys catch what the referee experts were saying on this position? Whether they agreed with the yellow or if some of them said it was red card?
I
didn't.
Not.
Maybe Cartel, you want to take a look at that while we finish this lineup up? I see it's on the screen. So of course, the kind of the weakness in our game plan, which is not new, were our wings. We had Milot Rashica on the one side and Mustafa Hekimolu on the other. Mustafa was subbed out for João Mario in the 67th minute. I will say, I thought João Mario was a very good stabilizing force for us at that point in the game. He, where you thought Fener would be pressing much harder, I thought he was doing a good job of cutting them out, of holding on to the ball, moving into space, making the right pass for the most part. So I thought that was a good sub, for them. Again, I
still had one nice move. Other than that, I wasn't too impressed. See that counter attack? He started that well with the one that Rafa ended up. He should have went himself. But other than that,
yeah, he should have taken a shot. He had a couple. I mean, I took note because at first I thought he looked a little bit like groggy. So I was kind of looking at him. I was looking. Yeah. I was looking for flaws because I thought he came out a little slow. But even when he'd allow a defender to kind of make up ground because he was slow to make a decision, he would then compensate by getting around that defender anyway. So I came away pretty impressed with João Mario in his little stint, and I thought it was kind of what we needed as far as having someone who could hold the ball and
I think
be
Mustafa
kind of calm.
Again. I thought Mustafa as well put in a good shift again. Obviously,
a good shift.
Yeah, he didn't maybe have any good passes or anything like that, but he walked his socks off again, which in a game like this is very important.
I don't know if you could call that a good shift, though. Really, personally, I mean, look, you can't say he's not giving an effort. He gets an A for effort still, but I actually thought this was his worst outing in the last few weeks as far as doing anything really.
Well, you know what? When it comes to João Mario, I think what was really important. And I know you're talking about Mustafa just now, but I think Mustafa, like he always does, he's worked his socks off. He ran like crazy. But what I actually thought João Mario had a very positive impact on the game because when he came on, it was very little things, but he retained possession. He stayed.
Yeah, exactly.
Pressure. He brought maturity that we needed in that last 20 or so minutes or whenever it was.
Yeah, he brought stability, calm.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that was 100% the right substitution to make. And I think he did well with bringing some ball retention and experience, and just he wasn't panicking. He stayed calm. I think he did well on that one counter opportunity, like Cartel said. Unfortunately, Rafa made the wrong choice there. I think he should have
taken a shot
for that last pass. He should have gone for an attempt, or he should have ran through, and then it probably would have been a really good chance. But João Mario didn't really do much. But I don't think this was the type of game in which
he wasn't really supposed to.
I think this type of a game for a player like João Mario, it's coming off the bench is more about bringing some maturity and ball
Yeah.
attention, like I said, than anything.
I think he's almost tasked, like, read the tempo of the game, see where you
Yes.
can kind of be effective, right? And I think that's kind of exactly
try
what he
and
did.
slow it down even if possible. And there was a
Mhm,
couple of
mhm.
moments where he helped out Masuaku on the left and came to his aid, and yeah, just little things. But I thought he was quite effective in doing what I think Ole meant for him to do, which was try and help the team get the result across the finish line. And
Yeah, I agree.
Talking about the Skrinniar position.
I
they-
saw already. They're saying yellow.
Yeah, they said yellow card. They're saying basically, see if like his studs went right into Gedson, it would have been a red card. But see, because it just kind of the studs kind of just scraped him, they didn't go in full force. It's a yellow. But they're saying that they've got a second yellow later on for stepping on things. Udokai's foot. They're stepping on Udokai's foot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
funny
but
how we got a yellow for a light stomp. I think it was on Masuaku, and it was very like it was. I think there was less on it than that one that we were talking about, the Skrinniar, and we didn't get a call at all. It wasn't even a foul.
Enesiri actually falls Mert before Mert falls him, so definitely not a penalty.
There you go. Finally, guys, the last piece of the lineup is Rafa Silva, who we've already discussed, I think, in depth in so many ways that we can probably put the lineup away for good.
Yeah, not Rafa's best performance by any stretch of the imagination, but I think he was a handful for them, and they focused on trying to contain him, which everyone does. You have to do it. But he had a couple of good moments, I think, and in the first half. After the first 10 or 15 minutes, I think when we started growing into the game and when we started being dangerous, Rafa was always involved and always involved in a positive way, I thought. In the second half, we just didn't do much in terms of counters, in terms of trying to exploit them. And Rafa had a pretty quiet second half, I thought. But in the first half, I thought he was decent. And I think everyone really was good, other than maybe Emre Can, who I didn't particularly notice, but maybe we'll touch on that in the comments in a little bit. But let's get to the stats of the game.
I was going to ask, should we do stats or comments? All right, let's do some stats.
Let's get to the stats of the game.
Karchal, do you want me to do the dual stats since you don't see the screen?
So you can just do it if you want, yeah.
Sure. All right. So, the big ones. We've got 62% of the ball. Sorry, psych. They have 62% of the ball to our 38%, which makes a lot of sense. We were playing for the counter. And let me just go through some of their nasty stats first to get to the one I think that makes the best point here. So they had 17 shots to our 8, 7 shots on target to our 4, but we had 1.69 XG to their 0.65. And we had 3 big chances to their 0. We missed 2. They missed 0.
I don't really agree with those stats, to be honest with you, though. I think Fenerbahçe had 3 big chances.
Yeah, it's the Galatasaray admin on FOTMob again, I think.
I think maybe so.
To be honest, I think we had 2, man. I don't think Chiro's chance at the end of the game is a big chance. I think the goal, which we didn't create ourselves, it came from the mistake. Obviously, it was great that Gedson had the wherewithal to watch that ball and run onto it. And also the penalty as well, the big chances for us in this game. Offensively, I don't think we played good. So I think those stats, look, if someone was to look at those stats, they'd say, Beşiktaş thoroughly deserved that game. But if I'm going to be completely honest, I think, see if we draw this game or maybe lose it by a small margin, I don't think we can say, we deserve more. Maybe a draw would have been the right score. But obviously it wasn't what we won. I'm very happy.
The game changes depending on the scoreline, right? In the second half, it was pretty much one-way traffic. But in the first half, we definitely had moments of danger. And I would argue that before the penalty we got, we actually should have had another penalty. If you remember, there's a position where I think it was Mert Muldur who tackles Rashica in the box, doesn't get the ball, brings Rashica off balance, but instead of going down, Rashica stays on his feet and actually still fires off a shot on goal. If he goes down there, that's a stonewall penalty because Mert Muldur doesn't have any of the ball, only takes the man. And there's moments like that where, you know, I think because we take the lead at the end of the first half, the second half plays out in a certain way, and it gives a certain way we look at this game. But I think in this game only, like, I think we really earned that victory. It was hard fought.
Yeah, we obviously fought very well. We defended well, but offensively, I think it wasn't like we weren't like the way we were in the Galatasaray.
No, but the dynamics of the game are different. Against Galatasaray, we were playing at home. Here, you're playing away with people. We
weren't like playing that beautiful, crisp, like transition ball that we played in other games. Offensively,
there's another side of this too, guys. Think about the desperation too, right? This is Fener playing for this season.
Yeah,
they lose, it's over, right? So yeah, exactly. I think you could argue this is a. I personally think in fact, full disclosure, right? I just did my sporting report. I gave out grades. I gave Ole a C+ last month, and I think when you look, we were 1, 2, and 2, right? Like, you can't really give out very many good grades when you play as poorly as we did. But for me, yesterday, Ole did for me, it was almost a perfect, right? Given the holes in our squad, given how poor we have the capacity to be, especially, you know, the sort of brain farts and giving away dumb opportunities and stuff of that nature. I thought we were really, you know, we came out determined with a game plan that was, no doubt, quite conservative. And you'd never want to see us, like, going into next season, like, this is how we're going to play. We're going to, you know, that's not, I'm not saying this is how I want us to play, like our identity or anything of that nature, but I think given the circumstances we were in, you know, I think you kind of had to do something like this.
This is an away derby against Fenerbahçe. I have watched so many away derbies against Fenerbahçe where I thought we played brilliantly and we should have won. And you know what happened? We lost.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know, man. Like, these types of games are about winning. They're not about playing good football.
Yeah, and let me make this clear. I'm in no way criticising the coach. I think it's down to because all they can make them be like crisper and cleaner on attack. It's down to the players to execute that. We've seen what they can. That we can be very dangerous and create a lot in the break on that transition, but it's just that offensively it wasn't our day yesterday. But luckily we defended really well, and there was the details kind of went in our favour with that Mert mistake and Gedson being in the right place in the right time and having the ability that he does to be able to chase the ball down and put it into the back of the net. Like, the details went in our way. The game plan was good. The only thing is the execution from our players when we did have the opportunities to break wasn't up to scratch. That's
also keep in mind the difficult situation that we were in going into this game. You know, we only had one available central defender to start. We had to play 11.
We've done fantastic in that regard.
Yeah. So, like,
no, look, I think I get what you're saying, Cartel, and I'll agree. Like, I left that game feeling like we should have at least grabbed a second. You know, because I feel like we did enough with the counter, and especially in that second half, where, you know, it was almost a little surprising that we didn't put a second one away just to get that, you know, that second goal celebration, you know, someone shushing the crowd. Like, I mean, you know, I feel like we did deserve it to some extent by the end, and there was just sort of individual errors that prevented us from getting it.
Yeah,
so I'll give you that.
To keep in mind, see that at the end of the match, they had Talisca, they had Dzeko, they had Cenk. So they had three towers.
They were pushing. Yeah, they were bombing forward. Yeah.
They had so many offensive players on the pitch at once. Is it wise then to overcommit to trying to look for a second goal? I think, you know, at that point it's all. I agree with you 100%. My only point is I feel like even just with the opportunities we did create, right? Like, there were. I think 3 counters where I thought, oh, they're gonna do it. They've got it this time. And then, you know, like there would be one, like Rashica held the ball for too long one time on the wing. You know, if he had a quick pass in, like, you know, again on the ground, we know where that pass could go wrong. As well, right? Because, like,
of course. No, that for me, that's exactly what it is. It's maybe only a
Galatasaray as well,
personnel
you need
issue.
to keep in mind we had Mucci available as well. Now we have Mustafa playing. Mustafa just turned 18 like last week, guys. You have Emre Can Terzi, he's a little bit older. He's like 20 or 21. He's 21, I think. But he's a very unexperienced player as well. We had a significant handicap in that regard, I would say, compared to our rivals. If you look at the market values on the pitch, like Fenerbahçe's market value on the pitch was like 110 million. Beşiktaş's was like 50. You know, it's such a
Crazy.
I think once you get that goal, it's not. I don't feel like it didn't feel like the Valérien Ismail days where we would just sit back and invite pressure. And yes, we sat back and we were put under pressure, but I didn't feel like we were inviting it, if that makes sense. I think we just were doing what we had to do to survive. And yeah, of course they had a couple of opportunities. They're bound to get some. You know, they were literally playing cross and inshallah, and at some point that ball is going to find someone's head, and then it's all about, you know, trying to make it as difficult as possible for that player so he doesn't get a good header off, or so he doesn't get a good shot off, and then you have to rely on your goalkeeper as well to make some saves. But at the end of the day, I don't think Fener did enough to deserve to win this match. Did they deserve to lose it? Yeah, probably not. But did they deserve to win it? I don't think so. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, they created 4 chances, including 1 free kick.
I think they deserve to lose it, honestly. Especially considering that they like basically created the goal for us. But anyway, that's another.
I think our players wanted it more.
Yeah, totally. I agree.
It's weird because we
had much less to play for.
And they were playing for their last chance
for their season. They're playing for the season.
Maybe if they didn't drop points against Kayserispor 2 weeks ago, maybe their mentality,
they'd have a little more fire.
Psyche would have been better in this game. But yeah, they didn't look like a team that was playing for the championship to me.
Yeah, I agree. Let me finish up these stats. So, where were we? Accurate passes. They completed 388 at an 83% rate. We completed 225 at a 75% rate. We committed 20 fouls to their 13. We've already highlighted a few that the refs missed. They were offsides 5 times. We were not offsides at all. They had 8 corners to our 5. As far as the duels go, we had they won 56 to our 49, meaning they won 53%. We won 47. Ground duels, they had a 61% rate. They won 45 to our 29, 39%. Aerial duels won. We won 20, 65% of them. They won 11, 35%. And successful dribbles, they completed, Kartal, we're going to need your math on this. They completed 11 at a 65% rate. Where does that leave us?
17 or something? 17
or maybe 11 of
It's probably around there, yeah, man.
16 or 17.
And,
and this is interesting. We completed 3. This is going to be actually quite easy to do. We completed the
lowest we've had all season.
We completed 3 of 12. I'll just say it. We completed 25% of our
Say it was
dribbles.
65%, you know?
Yeah.
So it'll be
And 11.
He's 17, I think, so 16, 17 was right.
Hey, that's what I said. Discipline.
The only one who can do it.
That's right. We had 4 yellow cards and they only had 3, and that's absurd. They should have had at least 7.
It's ridiculous. One
so yeah, I mean, for me, actually, like that could be a final point of critique.
Oh,
the ref was terrible. This was one of the worst.
It was dog shit.
One of the worst ref performances I've
Second
seen.
half,
all season.
he was really, really bad. I thought he missed so many clear falls on our players. He just ignored them and then allowed them to keep attacking.
It's not that, man. It's the fact they gave them like 2 phantom free kicks to them at close range.
Yeah, the Talisca one that he almost scores, that was for a foul on Fred, and Urukai actually gets booked on that situation because he protests, and that was I don't think that was a free kick at all.
Yeah, it wasn't
Yeah,
Gedson
there was
Fernandes, and the funny thing is, right, this guy doesn't speak English, so how does he know that Udokai was saying something bad and was yellow card worthy?
Yeah.
Dude, and so this is what killed me. So Fener didn't get a yellow card in the second half until the 87th minute. We got 2, and in that stretch, there were like 4 obvious yellow cards that Fener should have gotten. And by the time Jiku finally got one, it's like I thought he'd lost his yellow card up his ass. Like there was no. He had lost complete control of the game. They were just playing however they wanted to play, defensively, tackling however they wanted. Matt Mulder was just kicking guys like the Karate Kid over there. It was It was bad. It was bad. He lost complete control. It was one of the worst performances by ref I've seen in a minute, which is saying a lot considering where we play in this league. You know.
Most.
Anyway.
Before we get to the comments, guys, let's get to the standings, shall we?
Hey,
fancy new graphic up.
You want to do one? You want to do the standings? You can probably get those easily, right?
I'll do them for do you have them up, Katal? Do you want to do the standings?
I can do it. That's fine. So in first place we have Galatasaray.
We don't have to mention the first 2 places. It's irrelevant to us.
Anyway, I'll do it in full, man. 83 points they have from 32 games. Fenerbahçe, second place, they have 75 points from 32 games. Trabzonspor have 57 points from 33 games. They're in third. So their bye week's next week. So if we beat Ada them next week, we go up into third place. We go a point clear of them. Currently, with 32 games and 55 points. Beşiktaş are in 5th place. They have 51 points with 32 games. 6th place is Eyüpspor. They have 50 points in 33 games. 7th is Göztepe. They have
that's fine, Katal. That's the only things that really matter to us. So let's have a look now at the schedule for our rivals, the biggest rivals for 3rd place, which is Samsunspor. And like Katal mentioned, they have a bye week next week. After that, they will play Sivasspor at home. Sivasspor are one of the teams that are still fighting or trying to fight off the relegation zone. So potentially a very important game for Sivasspor. Then on the 25th of May, Samsun will head to Trabzon for the local Black Sea derby. That is a game in which you would expect them potentially to drop points. But of course, Trabzonspor at this point probably more focused on the cup final, which is coming up. That is their only realistic route into Europe for next season. So while normally I would say Samsun probably gonna struggle to get points there, or at least get all 3 points, you never know with Trabzon if they're overly focused on the cup final. And then finally on the 1st of June, or at least these are dates that these dates can still be changed, by the way. But Samsun are again at home and they play Kayserispor, which is not the easiest game. They might put up more of a fight than Eyüpspor did this weekend. I think Eyüp at the moment are kind of done for. But only 3 matches remaining for Samsunspor. And that's the team who are currently above us. But as Katal pointed out, we have a game less played. And if we win that against Adana Demirspor, we at least temporarily will overtake them, depending on what we do in the upcoming weeks. So let's have a look then at another team that is also vying for number 3. That's Istanbul Başakşehir. They are playing Fenerbahçe next week, so they are actually hosting Fenerbahçe. So we'll have to wait and see how Fenerbahçe respond to getting knocked out of the title race. Are they gonna do us a
It'd be so funny if they end up helping us after we knock them out.
That would be funny, but also it is plausible that Fenerbahçe's heads drop and maybe
I was gonna say they could drop the rest of these matches, yeah.
Yeah, maybe. So next week, Istanbul Başakşehir against Fenerbahçe. That is a game you would at least expect Fenerbahçe to get a point, maybe 3 points. That could be great for us if Istanbul lose that match. Then afterwards, there's the local derby against Kasımpaşa. They are playing away. That's not always an easy game for Başakşehir, so perhaps they could stumble there. Then they have Adana Demirspor at home on the weekend of the 25th of May. You'd expect them to win that one handily. And then finally, on the 1st of June, they close out the season against then champions Galatasaray. So, yeah, it'll all depend a little bit. Is Galatasaray going to give it everything for their final home game? You would expect them to do so, right? So, in theory, Başakşehir still have a very difficult schedule with Fenerbahçe and Galatasaray. But of course, we'll have to wait and see how motivated both those teams are going to be to play those matches. And then finally, our schedule next week, as mentioned, we are playing Adana Demirspor at home. It is a game we have to win, of course, but we lost the first confrontation with these guys earlier in the season, so there's no guarantees for us this season. But this is a match you would expect us to win, especially at home, but you never know. And then afterwards, on the weekend of the 18th of May, we are away at Alanyaspor, a team that is also fighting relegation right now. We're trying to stay alive, so not an easy away game. Actually, Samsunspor played them, I believe, 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago or something like that. Yeah, that's definitely not an easy one. Then we have on the weekend of the 25th of May, we play Rizespor at home. They don't really have anything left to play for.
Yeah, they're toast. Like that should be good.
Yeah, they're in the mid-table. They're safe from relegation for, I think. So that's a potentially game. That's a game that you would expect us to have more motivation for, right? And then finally, on the final match day, we are away at Bodrum, and that's also a team that's currently enthralled in the relegation battle. So we'll have to wait and see if they are perhaps already relegated at that point, if they are potentially safe at that point. But even if they are relegated,
I predict that they will be gone.
Still an opportunity for their players, though, to potentially entice
to get a spot in the
summer.
Super League. Yeah,
exactly. So,
maybe with the newly promoted side, or
yeah, exactly. So those fixtures are in the coming 4 weeks until the 1st of June. So the coming month is going to be very important for Beşiktaş for what we get to do next season. And depending on who wins the cup, if Galatasaray end up winning the cup against Trabzonspor, then third place will get us straight into the playoffs of the Europa League, which essentially guarantees you group league stage football.
Because at least then if you lose, you know you're in the conference league.
At the very least in the conference league. And if Trabzonspor win that, we have to play an extra round of qualifiers. And of course, if we finish in 4th place, again, that's 2 extra rounds of qualifiers if Trabzonspor were to win, and 1 extra round compared to, that's how it goes. So those are the standings, guys. Do you have anything that from the game that you really wanted to talk about still left?
Yeah, I think I'm done, man. I think there's actually, I think the other big topic of the day, I think it would be a good time to move on to that, and then we can
the jerseys.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, let me quickly wait. Can we do some comments first? Let's get past.
Shall we finish with the comments, maybe?
Yeah,
okay,
I was thinking
sure.
with the comments.
Sure. Because I mean, okay. Because the comments actually they end up right now on someone talking about the shirts, so it could be a good segue. But all right,
let's go to the shirts. So, have they published other shirts yet?
No, it's just the white one.
Just the white one so far. Okay, so now on your screen, guys, you can see the 2025-2026 home kits for Beşiktaş. White jerseys with a white bagel sponsor, black outlining with black and red accents. Guys, you've already seen the pictures. What are your first thoughts on our new home kit? Let's start with you, Kartal. You had some mixed feelings.
Yeah. The first time I saw it, I thought, oh, this is shit, man. Like, what have they done? Then I looked at it some more and I actually thought it's actually all right. But see, the thing that really upsets me is, like, see if they didn't feel the need to mess around by making one side of it, the accents on one side red. I think, see, if you just made it all black and it's a very plain shirt. If you just leave it with the black accents and the white shirt, I think it's a good shirt if it's just left with all black accents. I think the red accents kind of pull it from good to kind of meh / I'm not too sure about this. I mean, there's times I look at it and I actually think it does look quite nice, man. But to me, I think a Beşiktaş home shirt should be white with black accents, and if you're going to put red on it, it should be minimal.
Yeah.
And I feel like just like this past season, we've had our white top had red 3 stripes on it, which, as much as I actually really like the white top this season, I think in an ideal world is that kind of makes it look less like a Beşiktaş top.
One of the socks should be red too. Someone made that point, but
no, man, that's too far. Fuck that.
What do you think, Cino? What's
I mean,
your
if you're
first
doing
impressions?
I don't know. I want to see it. I need to see the final thing. I need to hold my hand. I need to put it on. You know, I've had my opinions changed by seeing something in person so many times now. And I've, you know, beyond that, I've had like negative feelings about shirts that halfway through the season become my favorite. And I was saying this in our little person, you know, sort of producer chat, but you know, it almost doesn't even matter what the design is. If we do something famous, no matter what the shirt is, we're always going to remember that shirt fondly. And in fact, in a weird way, it could almost help if it's a contentious design or even kind of quote unquote ugly. If we do something epic in it, it'll almost add a kind of charm to that. You know, it'll become like a cult classic type thing. So, you know, I don't know. I wouldn't worry too much about it. I'm hopeful that I'm going to like it more once I feel it in my hands and put it on. But or you know, sometimes you see them wearing it on the field and it's like, oh shit, that looks kind of cool. You know,
exactly. That's kind of the vibe I'm getting with this shirt, where it's like, it doesn't look great in the pictures, but I think this is one that will actually look much better if you see it in person and if you see it on the players. I know there's a model here showing it off, but like they couldn't have picked a worse model for it.
Yeah, there's little short. Like, come on, guy. Yeah.
And also as well, like see Adidas, man. Someone from the club needs to say, Adidas, see our home shirt pairing is a white shirt with black shorts. So see when they take these photos with these models, they should always have the model wearing black shorts, because I think the white top with black shorts is the best combination, I think, in football.
Yeah,
always.
I think with the black shorts, we'll have the half red, half black.
If you see this shirt on black trunks, it's immediately going to change it a little bit. But you know what? Looking at it now, I kind of like the fact that it's a very simple design.
I like that as well. I do like that. It's just this. As I said, man, see if they didn't mess around and make half of the accents red, if it was all black accents, I think it's like a 7 to an 8 out of 10.
Do you remember, Kata, last season when we got to see sneak peeks of the white shirt? Was the map of Istanbul detail, was that clear in those pictures already? I don't remember.
No.
I think they said it was going to have some sort of thing about the
That's
boss.
right. There was at least, there was like a heads up.
They never actually showed us the actual what was going to be on it. But this one, we can clearly see there's no design on it. These are Adidas's official pictures that are going to be used, because actually Adidas has restructured the way they work the tier system. According to Footy headlines, our shirts should be available for sale worldwide on Adidas.com. So these will be the images that will be used on Adidas.com for our shirts. So these are as official as it gets.
So I can order from Adidas.com, like the US website. I guess we'll see if they
should be able to. Yeah, I think so.
If Footy headlines are right, Sinan, you should be able to. Yeah, I'm hoping
That's
so.
Awesome.
You probably won't be able to get names on them though.
Oh, so I'm sticking with my cartel.
You'll probably still have to go through carteljuvasi.eu.
Yep.
You know.
Oh man, these tariffs though. Oh, damn it! You guys know how much I spend on jerseys already. This is oh shit.
Is that only for but Sinan, those tariffs, is that also for if let's say I go and buy the shirts for you and then I ship them to you personally, without like adding like the proof of payment and stuff like that. You know what? If I just send them to you as a friend, so to speak, as a gift, I don't think the tariffs would apply to that, would they?
Maybe not. We'll have to be. We'll talk.
Circumvented. Anyway, let's not talk too loudly because Orange might hear us. But
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you know what? The more I'm seeing this, I do think that because of the fact that it's such a simple design, and personally, I think the white shirt should be predominantly white with black. I agree. I like a nice black collar or something like that. Like, for example, the 2017-18 white.
Yeah, the collar's a little
jersey,
lacking, isn't it?
Or the 16-17 white jersey that just had like a black collar. I really like that.
Is there a collar at all? Or does it just?
There is. It has a V-neck, but it's white, I think. So
Yeah, white V-neck.
Yeah. But I do think once you
White
see this
V-neck.
on a black shirt, it's going to look decently. I'm very curious to see what the other two shirts are going to be. One of them is going to be a striped shirt, and the other one's going to be a black one.
Mhm.
And I kind of feel like you really have to try your damnedest to ruin a black shirt. So fingers crossed
Yeah,
that's
that's
going to
true.
be a banger.
This was a hell of a.
See, as much as I don't like red accents on our white shirts, because I think that's traditional, man, it should be white. But I think, for example, see red accents on a black shirt look fucking great. Like the 14-15.
We've had some bangers.
Yeah, that was a fantastic shirt.
Yeah.
Also, we've had the red with black accents, which is also pretty dope. Usually, I mean, we'll see how it goes. Let's just look. I'm not gonna get negative about it yet. That's all I'll say, because
Yeah,
you know
I
you just
really
never
feel
know
like
what
this
you're gonna
is-
hold in your hand.
I really feel like this is one of those shirts that I think it'll grow on you as the season goes on. Like, for
Yeah,
example,
it's
you
not
know,
anything going on me. I'm not going to lie, but it's just I wish they just fucking made all the accents black. It seems like they tried to get too creative, like they overthought
They
it.
got a little fancy. With
I
it.
don't fully agree with you there, Gartel. I think they could have made, like, I think there's a difference between accents and, for example, you know, the stripes on an Adidas shirt. That's not an accent. That's something that's very predominantly there. I think that should be black. I think, but for example, the stripes on the collar, on the sleeve. I think those could have been red. That wouldn't. Have been
I agree with that. Because you remember what I said like earlier on. See, like subtle white shirts fine. Like for example, see, like on the 16-17 one, like the trim on the arm, for example, like at the bottom, the arm cuff was red. Like see wee things like that, or a bit of red on the collar is fine.
Yeah.
But see when it's like so prominent, like the three stripes are red and the accent down the sides, half it's red. I think that's too much, man. That's
what I mean. Like, I think it's fine to have red accents, but they should be that. They should be accents. They shouldn't be a major part of the shirt, if that makes sense. They should be like little touches. And you know, I'll even go on a limb. If the Adidas logo on this shirt, on this new one, would be red, but like a little bit of darker red, not too bright. Like for example, our red shirt this season, that is too bright. I think that's not a good tint of red. I think that's too bright. But like for example, if you make this entire shirt black, if you make this entire shirt
Can you see this, guys? Con, can you see this? Remember that? That's an example of a. Oh crap! That's an example of like a small red accent, right?
Yeah, this is an acceptable use of red in my opinion. Just a wee
You like that, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
I see what you mean.
Exactly. I agree. That's the umbro.
Or like, remember this one? There's like a very little bit of red there. I mean, it's black, granted, but you know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's like use a little bit of red. I think this to make it, you know, I was like, for example, I think if you go with an Adidas shirt and for example you have, let's say you have a gray with like a nice dark gray shirt, and then you do the three Adidas stripes and you do a black one, a white one, and a red one. That would be nice, I think.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah.
Stuff like that. But I also think on this one, if you went, for example, the Adidas stripes black, maybe a little bit of a detail on the collar black, or even, you know, when you do a V-neck, you have the opportunity to do three stripes. So you do a black one on top, white in the middle, and then red on the bottom. And another opportunity is that you can actually make the Adidas logo dark red. You know? Or even like with the Beko, you could play a little bit with the Beko. You make the inside of Beko black, and the outline, you make that red, for example. There's ways to do it, but a little bit more.
Well, I mean, look, if you want like a definite sort of silver lining or some definite good news, whether you feel nicely about this or not, the good news is it seems like we're definitely getting our shirts on time this summer, right? Like because of this this more strict regulation on the part of Adidas, we're gonna get some news soon, right? Like that's good.
Yeah,
that's exciting.
Expected to be released in June. brother is getting, I think, must
In
have
time for my birthday. Hey.
11th of June, which I was quite disappointed about because my brother and I's birthday is the 8th of June. So a few days before that, so we can maybe request them for our birthday, but it's going to be
You can
slightly
just
after.
ask for a gift card.
Just have a belated, or you could schedule your actual party for like a week late.
Yeah, I mean, if you suddenly hint to your loved ones that you would like a cartajuvas.eu gift card or something, or
my birthday is June 27th, so I feel like my shirts might even get here on time.
Are you soliciting for people to send you shirts? Yeah?
I don't know.
Anyway,
I'll get my wife at the very least to get me. We'll figure that out. Yeah. So let's. Is that it? Are we done?
Yeah. Let's dive into the chat.
All right. Let's freaking do it. All right. We gotta
By
go.
the way,
go
guys,
back
we have officially hit 4,000 watch hours on YouTube. So thank you very much for that. We still are a little bit off from our goal of 1,000 subscribers. So if you're watching and you have not subscribed, or if you're somebody that watches on Spotify or listens on Spotify, listens on Apple Podcasts, if you have a YouTube account, we would really sincerely appreciate it if you go out of your way and you come and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Every little bit helps. We're on 870 subscribers right now, so another 130 would get us to that 1,000 mark, and that would be fantastic if we could reach that before the start of next season, for example.
Hey. So anyway, to the chat. Another new commenter. We had a couple today, which is great to see. First time commenter here, 28, which I wonder if that's an abbreviation for something. Anyway, what do you guys think about the potential signing of Václav Černý to Beşiktaş? I've seen some news in the Turkish media recently. Now, if I'm not mistaken, he's a 26-year-old winger on Rangers, right? 27, 26?
Yeah, he's only just joined Rangers this summer, so
yeah. Is it not going well?
He's on loan though, so we could sign him.
Oh, is he on loan? Okay.
Yeah.
What club's he from originally?
Wolfsburg.
All right. Well,
Wolfsburg. Another Wolfsburg winger.
Don't you guys kind of have the feeling that this is a typical player that's
scored
against a Turkish club in Europe? So the media starts linking them to
be honest, I'd rather stay away from these types of guys that have just put. The only reason we're looking at them is because they perform against Turkish.
Granted, he is having a good season for Rangers in general, but I agree with you. I think I also think that we shouldn't read in too much to these types of rumors because this is just the Turkish media doing their thing. I think if anything we've learned from the January mercato is that we really don't know what's going on. We don't know what the targets are until it's almost done. So I wouldn't buy in too much to all the speculation. Of course, in the summer we are going to talk plenty about speculation, but I'm always going to add that caveat of we really don't know anything.
Yeah.
What? What is that, a quote from Garfield? Okay.
We're not going to know what these guys are doing until after it's done, right? Like that's been proven, I think.
Yeah.
So just keep your seatbelts on. The whatever an upright position, it's coming. Nasser is here. Hello, guys. Hello to you, sir. It's great to have you with us. Murder Merit. We need to be a constant in European competitions. The exposure for the club and the players is a huge key for the future, let alone the youth coming up that should be showcased and prepared to sell. My only sort of argument, it's not really an argument, Murder Merit, is that, we've been in Europe consistently. So it's not like we're not there. It's just that we've sucked. Yeah. But anyway, Nasser, big win yesterday. We handled big teams fine. Just need players who can unlock low blocks. Squads built for counters, not possession. Yeah. I mean, especially when you're playing with the false nine
that's
and like.
essentially what Kata was saying as well, right?
Yeah.
That's
I
exactly
mean,
what-
that's where Gedson and Rafa Silva absolutely thrive. Although they can be good not on the counter too. One suspects. Carlito, would you guys? Oh, we did that. Nasser, we've dropped like 19 points to teams we shouldn't have since Ole arrived. No urgency at times. If we had those points, we'd be close to Fener or even second. Amir's been solid the last 2 games, brings stability in midfield and lets Gedson push forward. I don't know if stability is the word, Nasser, but he does bring something. He brings tenacity. Played some great through balls versus Hatayspor. The reason I say I don't know if he's so stable is that he has the tendency to get a little overexcited and leave his position, which can sort of create a little bit of chaos. But I think when you're playing with 2 6s, like Khan was saying, when you have Ox who sort of sits back and allows that to happen, then yeah, he definitely brought something positive for sure these last few matches. Anyway, Nasser finishes his thoughts here. Oh no, sorry, there's one more. He says, one thing I like about Ole is his tactical tweaks, whether it's formation or personnel. Masuaku, a.k.a. the new Rudiger, did a solid job at left center back. And then he concludes his points. I might have to get that new kit. Looks great.
All
So
right.
how about that?
So
And as a Man U fan,
it.
right? It sort of tweaks the Man U boxes, right? Tweaks? No, it checks the Man U box.
yeah.
Black and white and red.
Black, red, and some white for the trunks normally, Red shirt,
That's
black
right.
accents, white accents.
Carlito says he's glad he liked it. Hopefully one of many that you will own. Yes, that's a good point. Carlito then says Mert Mulder should have been sent off as well as Skrinniar. Yeah, I talked about those Karate Kid kicks. I agree. Another new commenter. Man, this is pretty epic, to be honest. Muhammad Ali, which is it's a famous person in history too. Says we all love Rafa, but everyone knows that he doesn't have that striker instinct. One-on-one, he's very bad. We need players like Immobile, but not in this age. We need younger. So you mean we need an Immobile? Well, granted, when Immobile was younger, he was leading the Serie A in goals scored. So I don't know if we can get a player like Immobile when he was younger. But sure, I get that. Yeah, or you have to find like a Czech version of Immobile. Someone who's playing, in a league where you can still get him at that age. And where you kind of unlock that next level, right?
Or like no Scandinavian or whatever, like
Sure.
There's plenty of places you can find good players, but you have to be on point and you have to be quick because there's so many other clubs looking. The same players,
yeah.
Right?
I feel like we're in a glut of good managers, but we're probably not in a glut as far as like good scouts, right? Advanced data, right? So that's one thing we're going to be competing against. I'm glad we have someone who's at least focused on that these days.
Mm-hmm.
Grey Wolf, good to see you back. Huzur. The way things are currently with the club, what is your preference for the upcoming election? Continue with Adale or a new president? I think we're probably all going to say we want to continue with Serdar Adale for now, right?
The only other candidate is a nut job, so yeah.
He's like one of those weirdos.
Yeah,
Trying to
definitely.
get attention.
Relevant.
So yeah, I mean that was easy. Nasser, big up Udokai, came back early from injury and really put in a shift for someone who's been out. That was class. Smart sub from Ole too. Yeah, I mean we already basically hit on all of those points. But yeah, we all agree. Grey Wolf, as mentioned in the group chat, Beşiktaş dodged a bullet, not signing Mourinho, and I think Ole is perfect for the club. Yeah, I mean, I'm really happy with Ole right now. I'm not gonna lie.
Definitely,
I think his demeanor is perfect. I even think you could, considering where we've come from just before Ole arrived, he's kind of working miracles in a way. And obviously, it's hard to say that coming off of a month where, we would have not won a single game if not for that Hatay game. But then, I mean, we came into that Hatay match with all the requisite energy required. So I don't know, man. I'm quite happy with Ole at the moment. Obviously, like if he has a better squad and he can't get results, then we have another problem. But
then you have to reevaluate. But right now, I think all the
Yeah.
positive things that we have experienced in the last 6 months are thanks to Ole, and the negative results we were getting worse results before. So like I've been seeing
Exactly.
some, there's a lot of Manchester United fans who are big fans of Ole, and then you have a very big contingent that hate on everything he does. So when you see like big Manchester
They're almost
United,
all the Mourinho. You notice there seems to be like a Mourinho/Ole divide
I
in
don't
Man
know
U
about
fandom.
that. Yeah, there's maybe some, but like you see
It's like
big
maybe it's
Man
like the
United-
Sergen Channel thing, that we've had in the past,
Yeah,
where it feels
maybe
like
a little bit, but like you have
You
big
gotta, like,
Manchester
pick a
United
side.
accounts that are really, promoting Ole and how he's doing at Beşiktaş, and then you've got like weasels in the comments who are like, oh, he only won 2 games in 9 matches, and apparently they watch all of Beşiktaş's games. Because,
they're
they
apparently
know
really
the
well
ins and
versed.
outs. And then I'm reading it and I'm just thinking to myself like, dude, like you've probably never watched a Beşiktaş game in your life other than when we played Man United all those years ago in the Champions League or something. It's like, stop fucking talking, man. Like you have no clue whatsoever. Like,
Yeah, really looking at just being online these days. Like, look, we're not gonna. It is the norm, but like, I don't know. We don't have a ton of reach, but I just would love for everyone who does listen to just consider this when you're online. Do you need to say what you're gonna say? Because so many people feel they need to weigh in on things that they're very clearly not well versed in. Just don't know what they're
People
talking about.
because they Google like a team and they see the results and they see the standings and all that kind of stuff, that they suddenly know the ins and outs of the matches and all that kind of stuff, and what happened and what are the causes of the bad results and so on. People are all experts.
Yeah. Cartel, you were gonna say something?
Yeah, I was just saying, man, they need to look at the context. This is a team that's like been bad 3 out of the last 4 years, man. Like,
Yes, exactly.
you need to realise that this team has been struggling, and
3 out of the last 4.
when
When did we have a good season?
well, 2 years ago, we almost ended second, and we only ended like 8 points off the top.
Yeah, but
So, in the second half of the
good season, man.
like, the second half of the season was very good results wise as well. We won almost
Yeah, but
every.
the football wasn't great, and
It wasn't good, Can, but out of the last 4 seasons, like that's the only one that was like one that you can say, yeah. In terms of results, we got good results in general. Like, see, 5 years ago, for example, that season would probably the points per game we got would have been enough to win the league before Galatasaray and Fenerbahçe went crazy with the spending. So, compared to the other 3 seasons in the last 4 anyway, like that one, you can't say that was like shit like the other 3. You can't.
honestly, I think the last 4 seasons, just like ever since our last championship, I feel like it's just all been crap, really. And yeah, okay, maybe the second half of that season was better, but like you can't forget.
I was gonna
the
say
first half
I
of the
don't
season.
see.
I
I don't remember any positive either.
In the mid 2000s, we had a lot of seasons where we were really bad in the first half of the season, and we kind of came back in the second half of the season. But it's also so different because you're playing with no pressure, low expectations. It's almost, the pressure is off. And then as soon as you start getting into, oh wait, like they might be actually doing something, then usually you falter and you fall off. And
once the pressure does return.
I feel like it doesn't give a proper look at a season, because if you completely fuck up in the first half of the season and then you let's take that you remember, obviously you remember it, but like when we got 30 points in the first half of the season and the second half of the season we nearly won everything with that.
Was that the Burak Ljajic?
But that,
Yes.
we were really good in that second half of the season, but then when it really, really mattered, when we had to beat Galatasaray, we couldn't do it, right?
And the same scenario happened the year after as well with Burak and Ljajic. Like,
that's
exactly. But that's because the pressure is off in the second half of the season. They start playing, and then you get close, and then suddenly it's like, oh wait, we actually have something to play for again, and then suddenly that good football that you were playing the previous weeks, it's not so so obvious anymore, you know?
Yeah. Anyway, let me finish up what Huzur was saying. So he said, there seem to be issues with the players' attitude, which is turning around based on Ole's statements from his latest press conference. He also said that the remaining games will determine who will stay and show who wants to stay. Interesting.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
Khan,
yeah.
your volume is a little low. Is something that Huzur has specifically mentioned a couple times.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, it's maybe because my microphone's a little further away.
Yeah, probably. I was gonna say,
noticed that on the-
Nasser. I mean, you sound fine, like on the back end, but whatever. Nasser says he thinks that Tayyip might be done. Yeah, tell me about it. Ole played Masuaku at left center back and Emrecan at left back. Regardless of how, we need a proper right central back and rotate Udurkai and Emirhan on the left. Yeah, that sounds about right. Grey Wolf, based on the last press conference, Ole is big on Mustafa, and he sees him as the future for the club. As for development, anything? Stop me, guys. Stop whenever you guys want to say something. Feel free to stop me.
Well, you know, I think he's definitely one to watch and an exciting talent, but I think he's still far off from being a finished article, and I think he needs to, like I've said this many times, I think he needs 1 or 2 seasons at another club before he's good enough to be a starter for Beşiktaş. I really sincerely hope that Ole is also going to take that approach to him for the summer and is going to tell it to him straight. It's like, you're really talented. I have very high hopes for you, but I think right now what's most important is for you to play week in, week out, and I think it's better if you go and do that at a lower level in terms of club. He doesn't have to go to the second division or anything like that, but I think you would be doing him a disservice by keeping him in the squad for next season, because ideally you don't want Mustafa to be a starter next season. And I do think that Mustafa is going to benefit the most from being a starter next season, but not at Beşiktaş.
I agree. Yeah, I wish he could play for like Göztepe, but they wouldn't even play him.
Loaning players out to like the second division should be done, man. Like, how many players have we loaned out to the second division of Turkey, and how many of those loans were successful?
Yeah.
We need to form a real connection.
The funny thing is, like, see the one player that we like loaned to a development league. And no disrespect to the Belgian league, but it's a league that's known for developing talent, and we loaned out Kyle Larin to Zulte Vargo when he came back a different player.
Yeah.
So I think we need to look at doing that more. Like, why we've had one guy who was shit, and then he came back and scored 19 goals after that loan spell in the league. Like, why have we not went back to that formula? Like, why since have we went back to fucking like loaning players out to like Umrani and shit like that?
Agree. It does have to be said, though, Cathal, I don't think we have really loaned out any hot prospects to a second division team in Turkey. Like, they were always like, who?
Hasic. He was meant to be he was a big deal.
Yeah, but that was coming off of an injury, though, a serious injury.
Even before that, when they first came, we loaned them out to Umrani as well. The first time.
Did we?
Yeah, we loaned them out there twice.
But that was back when we were trying to start that relationship with them, and there was talks of us like buying them.
Kartal Kaira is another player that we loaned out and actually did get playing time. So I do think if you're good enough, you're gonna play. I just think that a lot of the players that we have aren't necessarily better than what those teams already have, and they don't really have
a huge difference between Kartal Kaira, a guy that's just been perpetually loan after loan to Kyle Larin, went on loan for a year, made good progress in Belgium, came back and was one of the guys in a title win.
Scored like 20 goals.
Yeah, but it was we never loaned him out with the intention of getting him back. We included a $2.5 million buyout clause in it.
Yeah, it was almost like a Muleka situation.
Right? Was the end result good? It was fantastic.
Yeah, the end result was good, but
why have we not learned from this experience, and why are we not?
Yeah. We should definitely do a better job with our loans.
How long have we known each other? And I think as long as we have known each other, I have been crying out for Beşiktaş to find a satellite or a feeder club like that. You know,
Yeah.
that's one of the things I repeat every year. I say it 100 times in a season. Maybe people are tired of listening to me talking about it, but I've said it so many times. It is so important if you want to develop your young players that they get significant playing time between the ages of 18 and 21. And for a lot of
And
our
playing
young-
time of substance, right? Of
Yes,
consequence.
significant playing time, not just garbage minutes. You know, like an 18 to 21. Ideally, you want to, start getting them professional minutes when they're 17 or so. And if they're really talented, maybe even younger. But let's take, for example, we have this kid in the academy, Enes Chinemre, and he's 16 or 17 years old now, I think. He's playing with the under 19s. Like, that is somebody who could really benefit from a system where we have we own our own B team in the second division that plays predominantly young players, and you maybe add some experienced players to help them out. But that's the system they have in Belgium, for example. Club Brugge, one of the most successful teams in Belgium in the last 10 years, or the most successful team in Belgium in the last 10 years, has really benefited greatly from their club next team that plays in the Challenger Pro League, which is the second division in Belgium. A player we've been linked with last summer, and Galatasaray have been linked with, and Fenerbahçe have been linked with. Their left back, his name is eluding me right now. I'm really bad with stuff. What was his name again?
The Cooper.
Yeah, the Kuiper, exactly.
The Kuiper.
I was trying to say it like that, but I couldn't.
I was like,
he started at Club Next, and now he's a pivotal player in their first team, and is going.
the Kuiper.
I think he had
Kuiper.
a ridiculous amount of assists last season. It's
It's Kuyper.
Yes.
Kuiper.
Kuiper.
That R rolls,
I mean,
huh?
but that's just an example of the players you can get, and I think, for example, take Serkan Emrecan Terzi as an example. He is 21 years old right now, and
loan him out. Yeah, loan him out.
No, but I think he missed.
I mean, we probably need him to play.
Development
Yeah, he should have been loaned out the last 2 years.
If he would have been playing Birinci League football week in, week out at age 18, at age 19, he probably would be a much better player today. And he might actually be a player where you say, that's a good squad depth player. That's someone we should be keeping around. And not just, we will keep him around because the alternative is paying ridiculous money for a shit player from Antalyaspor. No, I think we should be talking about, we want to keep this guy around because he's serviceable, he's good enough, and we don't have to look at shit players from Antalyaspor because we have better players from our own academy that have, at the age of 20, maybe 100 professional matches under their belt. You know what I mean? That's what we should have, but we don't. Players like Fatih Aksoy, they started getting minutes way too late in their careers.
Yeah.
He still plays for Alanya, right?
Yeah, but Fatih Aksoy, I think, could have been a player that
I agree.
could
Yeah, he
still
had
be on
talent.
our squad today as a squad depth player, as a useful squad depth player. And then we wouldn't have had to buy umpteen shit Anadolu players.
If Alanya goes down, maybe we get him for depth. What is he, like 22 or
I
something?
think
23?
the ship.
27, man. He's 28.
20.
Yeah, but I
Shit!
think-
Oh my
I think
god!
the ship-
I just got
think
so
the ship
old
on him
so
has
fast.
sailed. I think if he would have been a
Shit! Yeah,
Beşiktaş
28.
material
That's
player,
crazy.
But there's plenty of kids like that probably in our academy right now who with enough professional minutes under, and also it's not just to develop their ability, it's also to see if they have what it takes to be a professional player. Take Berkay Vardar and Emirhan Delibaş, for example. I think they probably both had the talent to be professional footballers, but they didn't have the mentality.
The sad one is Alpay Halabi. Remember, he just got that nasty injury.
Yeah.
Anyway, more comments. Let's see what we got here. All right, here we go. This is gonna get a little testy, maybe. So we have Carlito. Mert was basically flawless. We've seen different times with him. I don't know what that means. Nasser says Khan sounds like Roy Keane. It's his job. Grey Wolf says, for me, Mert was player of the game. First half, both teams were terrible. Second half, Beşiktaş disappeared. I don't know about that. They were horrendous. They were
totally get
lucky
the Roy
Fener
Keane
was
reference,
unable to
by the way.
score.
That's when they're talking about Peter Schmeichel. It's his job. It's his job. That's he's supposed to make them saves. But he's right though. He's right. Mert, Carlito was right. Mert was flawless.
That was a good Roy Keane accent, dude.
Mert was
He's supposed to
flawless.
make the saves.
But
He's like a little
but,
leprechaun.
as Roy Keane said, it's his job. It's his job. He's supposed to make those saves. He is supposed to make those saves. None of
I
those
think you're right.
saves
He's supposed to make
were-
them saves. He probably would.
Yeah.
Hey, under the rainbow. Anyway,
I'm a huge Roy Keane fan, by the way. I think he's fantastic.
no, he was great. I like his
Yeah,
like
not just as a
pugnation.
player, I also as a pundit.
No, his
I love him.
attitude. Yeah, he's a
amazing.
little
I love
angry.
watching.
He's a grumpy Gus, but you know,
Yeah,
That's how it
great.
goes.
I mean,
that's how it goes.
if we could have a player like that, oh my God, chef's kiss.
Oh yeah. Grey Wolf says the Mustafa yellow was ridiculous. And then just I don't like it. I think he's talking about the shirt. Why are the Carlito? Why are the sock stripes black on both sides? That's funny. I asked the same thing. Carlito, he said that would have been overdrive, overkill. Sorry. Grey Wolf, it's a shot. It is shot. Meaning the shirt. Murder Merit says I like the jersey, don't love it. Carlito, me neither. Lazy design. They need a black Murder Merit. They need a black background for an all-white kit. Oh, you mean like on the
I
image? On the
I
image?
agree with that. No, because right now they have like a white shirt on a white background. I think if
Yeah, with the little shadow
it doesn't,
beneath. Yeah,
it
you're
doesn't
right.
need to be a black background, but like a darker background.
At least
so,
dark. Yeah,
so
maybe
it pops
red.
more. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
bad
yeah.
presentation.
Yeah, I agree with that. Tariff talk. We won't go into it. Murder Merit. I'm June 29th. Oh, shit. So we have a whole bunch of June birthdays to celebrate here at the podcast. Oh, another new commenter. Wow, this is crazy.
It's fun. All
Umut
your
Bekar.
parents got busy in the same month, guys.
I guess.
does
Thanks
that
for the
feel?
reminder. That's what I'm trying to picture right now. Umut Bekar says, another new commenter, says, suggest a striker for Beşiktaş next season. That's a demand, apparently, in the way it was worded.
We should suggest a striker for Beşiktaş for next season.
Yeah, I mean, I almost don't want to because I feel like Graf, we've got professionals to do that now.
Well, how much? The question is, how much money are we gonna get to work with, right?
Yeah, there's a lot.
I mean, there's a player in Belgium, Arokadare, who is quite good, but I don't know if that's realistic. I mean, he'd probably cost. Kevin Callos, yeah, he's doing okay for Basel, I think. Not
Maybe okay.
well, you know. I mean, I'll look him up in a second. I checked him a while ago, and he was doing. Yeah, I think that's decent. Yeah, but no, but Kartal, imagine if we would have had him instead of Simi or Mustafa this season.
Yeah,
Those are jank numbers in 2015-16. You know, the guy coming off the bench or starting infrequently. 10 goals in 21 starts is decent, man. Especially for a young player. He's like, what, 22, 23? And by the way, yeah. I think that could have been an interesting signing for sure. By the way, you guys are coming through fine, I think. Maybe it was just during the switching of the scenes.
Yeah, sometimes there's a
Sometimes
delay
it
or
kind of like mutes you guys. You guys are coming fine here, so the levels are fine.
comments. There's only one more, I think.
The name I'm gonna put out there, and he's currently valued at 13 million. So I don't think it's necessarily realistic, but I'm just gonna put this name out there. This is the guy that I would try for. And I'm writing the name in the chat right now. Plays for Racing Genk right now. He's got 22 games in 40 games. He's very good. Strong, tall, kind of reminds me a little bit of Onuachu, a young Onuachu. Not as much of a not as clinical though. Onuachu was a scored more goals. I'll put it that way. But this is definitely an interesting player. And he's definitely somebody you can hang your hat on top for. Somebody that can hold up the ball, that can play with his back to goal. Yeah, that's a player I would be interested in. Tolu, yeah.
Tolu Arorare. Sounds almost Japanese. It's funny how there's some African names that sound almost Japanese. I mean, it's probably some regions of Africa. But anyway, the world is a funny thing. What's that Disney
But
song?
I didn't want to say Paul Onuachu or Patrick Schick, the usual suspect.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we don't. That goes without saying. But we have a scout now. Hopefully we don't hear those same names over and over again anymore. So.
I mean,
anyway, let's go.
The Turkish media doesn't have any.
No, the media is gonna talk a lot of bullshit. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, of course.
My advice is just stay away from that shit. Just wait for news to become official before you make any, start fighting with people on the internet. Nasser, there's definitely a divide in the United fan base. Some hardcore Jose fans seem to be hoping for Ole to fail. Well, that's gonna hurt. This week hurt them, I suppose. Probably just a vocal minority on social media, though. Yeah, I haven't seen a ton of it, to be honest. Grey Wolf, optically, it seems the scouting is stabilized. Let's hope. The administration and management know there's no money and can.
Yeah. Of course. Yeah. Stassin. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if we're gonna try and do some shopping with them, I think we should probably look at Zurko Davitashvili, I believe his name is, the winger, the Georgian winger. He's very good. He's currently valued at 10 million. He has, let me check, I think 9 goals, 7 assists this season. Your audio's gone? Let me see.
Now they're just saying no audio.
Now it's back.
Or only Khan is coming in.
No, your audio was coming in now.
Huh. Well, anyway.
Miss Skype already, man.
I know. It's bastards. Yeah. Should we wrap things up? That's it for the comments.
I think we should, yeah. What?
Maybe when we.
Maybe. Let's hope. This is not.
This is a pretty long episode.
Ideal. Unfortunately, we don't really have a good alternative at the moment, unless you want us paying through the nose. We could.
But we're gonna need a few more subscribers first, folks. No,
I mean,
I'm kidding.
Yeah. It's right. I'll let them peek a little bit behind the curtain for you guys. So we always used to do our conference calls with Skype, and then we bring in the camera feeds from Skype into our software that we use for broadcasting. But unfortunately, Microsoft has made the decision to discontinue Skype, and because their rationale is, well, we have Microsoft Teams, which does essentially the same thing as Skype, so you can just switch over to Skype. Unfortunately, Microsoft Teams has hidden the function to bring in the camera feeds into what we're doing right
behind
now.
the paywall, right?
They have hidden that behind the paywall, and it's we don't mind paying. The problem is we would have to get an admin account for Microsoft Teams, so we'd have to pay for that. And then on top of that, both Sinan and Kartal would also have to pay for Microsoft Teams to be able to join calls. So we'd essentially be paying 3 subscriptions to be able to use that. And then if we have like a special guest or something, we'd still have to use...
Oh, a fourth? Oh my god.
Yeah, we'd still have to use the thing we're using right now.
That's right, Video Ninja.
Unless they somehow have a chance that they're paying for Microsoft Teams already. So
I wonder if by paying for my Microsoft 360 or whatever the hell it is, 365, what is this shit called? I wonder if I get an account with that, because I do.
Yes, I think you do, but there's also a subscription that does not include Teams. So
of course,
you have to check which one you have. So for me, it's like I don't mind paying for something if it's going to make our quality better. But I don't want to be paying for something that's only working half of the time. If I'm gonna interview somebody about a player in Uruguay, or I'm gonna be interviewing somebody about a club we're playing in the Europa League or whatever, and I have to go and use different software because Teams is only covering the people that I pay for every month. Yeah. That makes it a lot less enticing for me. And then the other alternative we have is Zoom. Zoom is crazy expensive because you need a Zoom Rooms
because
account.
you need Zoom Rooms, which is freaking nuts.
And that's about 500 euros per year. And we have just gotten to a point now where we are not spending money anymore to produce this podcast. We've been producing this podcast since 2018, and up until this will be the first, like going into next season, starting in August, will be the first time that we aren't paying for anything anymore. We used to pay over 100 euros on hosting every year. I think between Sinan and I, we have easily poured, and then it does not include like hardware upgrades and stuff. Like for example, Kata last year went out of his way and he bought a MacBook. We've all done hardware, but I'm not even counting that. But like just on like hosting and stuff like that alone, and graphics and all that kind of stuff, we've easily spent like 1,500 to 2,000 euros maybe over the years between the two of us. So we're kind of happy that finally we're at a point now where we don't have to pay anymore to do this. And
exactly.
And now Microsoft is throwing us a curveball, unfortunately.
I kind of blame Zoom because they made this model of monetization, which was obviously so profitable for them that Microsoft was like, I need to get in on that money. But so it's a pain in the ass. Yeah, it's a pain in the ass.
Just have to hope that now with the disappearance of Skype, that maybe
something emerges.
Yeah, something emerges in the coming months, hopefully.
Yeah.
We'll have to wait and see.
There's Yasin was suggesting some sort of open source thing.
He was talking about. I don't know. And right now, OBS, the thing we use to broadcast, is open source. So I am definitely pro open source, but it needs to be stable and it needs to be reliable.
Yeah, which is always the issue with a lot of the open source stuff is how well is it like OBS, stuff that's being maintained and worked on. Yeah, like OBS or GIMP.
OBS
there's a lot of great open source stuff out there. GIMP is it's like the free Photoshop basically, and it's a fantastic program and it's updated regularly, and so there's lots of good stuff out there, but it's just hit or miss. You have to really know what's being maintained well and what isn't and all that. So, but anyway, let's wrap this sucker up, shall we?
Let's do so. Thank you all for watching. By the way, if you want to support our podcast and you want to help us continue to do what we do, go and check out patreon.com/Beşiktaş podcast. We dropped a bunch of new VIP content this week with Sinan Schwarting report for the month of April, where Sinan evaluates the performances of the club personnel, players, all that kind of stuff. Go and check that out. He's got fancy new graphics for his Schwarting report, so go and check that out. It's just $1.99 per month. It's really cheap, and you get nice extra content, monthly Schwarting reports, weekly give or take VIP podcast. I dropped an hour-long VIP podcast yesterday talking about the derby, talking about Ole, talking about a lot of stuff I talked about today as well, to be honest. And then today, I think, or maybe yesterday, dropped a highlight. We checked out the highlights of the Fenerbahçe match, talked about some important phases there with the footage. Only possible on Patreon. I tried uploading it to our YouTube member section as well and got copyright struck, so I'm not gonna do that one again. So you'll have to go and join us on Patreon. So if you fancy double dipping, take the 99-cent membership on YouTube to gain the fancy new Beşiktaş badges next to your name in the live chat, and then the $1.99 option on Patreon that gets you all the VIP content. If you fancy supporting us and you can't get enough of Beşiktaş content, plenty of people in the live chat are VIP members, and I'm sure that they can attest to the bang for the buck that they are getting. So go and check it out. Even if you just want to try it out, it's 7 days for free. So all you really need to go is go to patreon.com/BeşiktaşPodcast. You can try it out for free. If you like it, stick around. And if you don't, just opt out, and you won't get charged if you opt out before the 7-day trial is over.
And I would be remiss not to say, let's go Knicks! Just kidding. Let's go Beşiktaş! Peace out, everybody! Oh, I gotta get the names up now that we're... Uh-oh, I'm on a delay now. I gotta remember them. It's like, how do we do this? I need like an image.
Oskan Zerzabachi, Abdülcan Malak, Paul O'Connor, Nathan Davis, Finish him up, Tristan Gray was finally joined us in WhatsApp.
Fergie Tristan Gray! Oh, I got the names, Con. Hold on!
You got the names, okay, you can continue.
I got Fergie Tristan Gray, Michael Berry, Umer, Mr. Positive, Gunnar, Dara, the Irishman Henty, Mario 1 and a 2 and a 3, Vargas, Niall, we need a nickname for you, Tariq, Sebastian, the not sporting director, Highness, the Vigilante Turk, Nasa, Mr. Manu / Beşiktaş, and of course, the indubitable, indomitable, indefatigable, indestructible financier, the Dutch Eagle. Peace out, everybody!